Welcome to Whitty Analysis of Feature Films and Light Entertainment Podcast. My name's Billy.
And I'm the one they call Sean.
Hey, we're back. This is episode 4. We've done 3 of these so far. People have listened to them. Even some people that we don't know have listened to this now as well.
People will be your stranger.
Yeah, we'll be your stranger. Come in. I'm really strange. Sean's quite strange. And if you want us, we're here.
Exactly.
We're here for you.
Exactly.
So, just in case you haven't listened to us before, and this is your first episode, because every episode is someone's first episode, here we talk about films, TV shows, and we give each other tips. This week we're going to go through, as our film review, because we're casting it as a film, WandaVision. Last week we did Hamilton as a film. This week we're doing the entirety of WandaVision.
We're playing fast and loose with the term film.
Absolutely. But this one, you know, it's got the structure of a film. It's just done more of an episode. It's got the budget of a film.
And it's part of a film franchise, to be fair. So
exactly, yeah.
Loopholes.
Then we're going on to Snowpiercer. We're going to carry on with the next 2 episodes of that. We're on to 7 and 8. And then following on from that, we're going to do the best of the worst. This week we're doing X-Men Wolverine Oranges. Or what's it called? Wolverine... X-Men Oranges Wolverine?
Yeah, something like that.
Cuckoo-cuckoo. That's it, aye. So that's what we're going to be doing this week. Sean, how are you?
Fine, yeah. I'll put a warning out there. I'm losing my voice a bit. So this should be good. Let's hope it's a bit quicker than last week. But
So everybody, if you hear me talking a lot, it's not just because I talk a lot, it's because Sean's edited himself out because he's lost his voice.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
It's not because I'm talking a lot.
Or sometimes you might hear me go, but though I haven't sat on anything, it's just my voice is a bit dodgy. But hopefully we'll get through it. We should be fine. How's yourself?
I'm all right, yeah. Hi. Enthused to be talking about the things that we're talking about this week.
Good.
I like a lot of things. So this week, we're brought to you by...
Toilet roll.
Toilet roll. Oh, the one essential that you cannot do without, except maybe food, because you wouldn't need toilet roll if you don't have food. But the one thing that you need to sort out your food, toilet roll. Sean, you know the situation, don't you? You're in a situation where you sat down... you've just finished something. It's been a bit of a mammoth task because that burrito that you had earlier has done a number on yourself. And you're sitting there thinking, oh, what am I going to use to get rid of this off my arse? You know what you use? You use toilet roll, Sean. Those 3 seashells out of Demolition Man, they don't even fucking exist. I don't think you can be starting using anything like that, however they would work. You've got to use toilet roll. You have to use it. You don't have an option. This isn't even a discount code. We don't have a discount code to give you. We're just saying make sure you've always got toilet roll in your house. Otherwise, dirty hands. And the last thing we need right now is people with dirty hands going about touching things.
Correct.
We need to make sure that your arse is clean and your hands are clean. So whatever
Exactly.
you do over the next week, listen to this podcast for sure. But if you have to sacrifice one thing, either listening to this podcast or keeping your house stocked with toilet roll, then don't listen to this podcast. Make sure you've got some bog roll in.
That was just a random one because I got this to wipe my camera before and it was sitting there. So I was like, toilet roll.
The joy of this is we don't know what's going to happen, do we?
I just say something and Billy talks. Right in the deep end there. I do apologise.
Right, well, that's enough of that shite.
Hey!
Assume...
That's what you say when you get your toilet roll.
Let's move on to the film review section. So, the film review section this week, we have been looking at WandaVision, as has the rest of the world.
WandaVision.
Oh yeah, I like that jingle. So this, in case you've been living under a rock, is Marvel's first, or the Marvel Cinematic Universe's first TV show. And it's Wanda and Vision. So what we usually do in this section is we go for synopsis, we give you a general thoughts, non-spoilers, then we open it up to spoilers, and give you a summary at the end. Everything's time-stamped below, so if you haven't watched it and you want to jump around and avoid spoilers, then feel free to do so, or you can go away, watch the whole of WandaVision, and come back and listen to this. At least this will be shorter than WandaVision is. That's not always true of our film review sections.
Yeah, hopefully anyway.
So the synopsis for this, the only synopsis I've really got for this is it's Wanda and Vision, sitcoms, and something's up.
That is it. I think that was the pitch. But because I'll be honest with you, straight from the off, right? I was going to try and make a bit of a joke and say I didn't like this. And I know it's got loads of hype. I tend to not care about hype. If something's really hyped and I haven't watched it, if I'm not interested in it, I won't watch it. If I am, I'll watch it. If I like it, I like it. If I don't, I don't. I was part of the hype for this. Even in the first 2 or 3 episodes, when people are kind of still not sure about it, I'm like, I don't care. It's going to be awesome, I'm telling you. I was like, nobody was listening, but I was like, I'm telling you, this is going to be great.
That's because you live alone, Sean. You were just talking to yourself. It's going to be great. No one's listening.
Even my chair fell over. I didn't want to know. But honestly, I think it's one of the greatest things that's been on TV in a long time.
Yeah, and it should be, because it cost $225 million to make. No other TV show costs that much money. If this was shit, someone would be getting shot.
Oh yeah.
$225 million for a fucking 9-episode TV show. Oh, but swearing in this. I always like to make that point just after I've said fuck. It's in the show notes. We've marked it. Sorry.
What's the Marvel films? 22, 23, 20, 21, whatever it is. They've averaged $1 billion a film. So they've got a few spare to crack out a couple of millions on a TV show. It's just 10 pence for that. So it won't make much of a difference.
And it's owned by Disney as well, and Disney have a lot of cash spare. But sometimes
Disney have all the money.
They goose stuff. Some Disney stuff is crap. So yeah, there was always a chance. But the thing I thought with this one, like you said, it was a big thing for the show to say, right, we're going to really commit to this bit of doing, these period-specific and faithful homages to sitcoms, for 3 weeks.
And those styles of sitcoms haven't been popular for about 30 years. So it's just like even longer than that. But so it's a big risk.
Aye. And especially releasing it weekly when we live in a world where if something comes out, it comes out and you binge the whole lot in a day. Saying, nah, you're going to get 2, and you have to wait a week, you get another one.
But you know what it is, though? It proved that works. And I think more streaming companies have to do that. Because after 3 weeks, it became the #1 show in the world.
Did it? Right.
Yeah. And if they put it all out in one, I think it was maybe 4 weeks. I can't remember the exact numbers, but it went from something like 75 in the world, 22, 1, and it stayed there. So if they'd have just whacked it all on in a oneer, people would have been talking about it for that weekend, and that would have been it.
Yeah.
But because it was week after week, it gives you time to talk about it. It gives you time to get the buzz out there, and it works.
That's like our podcast. That's why we only release it every 2 weeks.
It works. Went from 1 viewer, listener to 6. It's great. we're on our way, but it worked. And because of the stuff they put in the show, because of some of the things that put in there, some of the red herrings, some of the could this be this, could that be that? If it was all done in one weekend, there'd be no time to talk about it. Yeah. And it just proves that weekly releases work. To be honest, the only issue I had, we'll get into a bit more of it, but I just wanted a bit more. I wanted each episode to be a little bit longer.
Right.
But
I quite liked it, especially the first couple when it was just those sitcom bits. That was enough for me. Unlike you, when I watched the first couple, I was like, if this wasn't Marvel, I wouldn't be coming back to this week on week. If I didn't have the confidence in the brand and what they've done before and what they've given me before, if that was just 3 episodes of a sitcom and something's up at the end of it, I probably would have been not continuing with it. But because it is Marvel and I was convinced it was going to be good like you, I'm like, oh, this is enough to keep me interested because I kind of know where they're going with it.
Yeah, and there was one thing that did get, it's not an issue with Marvel itself or the stories that we're telling or whatever it was. There was one negative about this whole series with me, and it's always the same with anything that, if it's a big franchise, whether it's Star Wars, whether it's Doctor Who, whether it's Marvel, DC, wrestling, fans do my head in. And I'm one of them. We're both one of them. Everybody does it. Everyone comes up with an idea of where they think it's going to go. And when it doesn't go that way, it turns, that's it, it's crap. I'm sure we'll get to the end when we get to the end, but I've read a lot of stuff online where people were, oh, it's the best thing ever, and then because they didn't get what they wanted, it was ruined. And I fell into some of the hype expecting to maybe see this or that or him or her, and it didn't happen.
We're reviewing a certain X-Men film because I thought it might tie into mutants, and I text you saying, oh, I reckon this is going to happen. You're like, it's not really. I'm like, I reckon it is, though.
I was like, no, I don't think so. But that kind of got to me because some of my expectations went a bit. But it's not their fault. It's our fault for getting expectations about certain things, and they might not turn out that way. But we all do it. You've just got to kind of like, I try my hardest to go in with an open mind. And that's why when a lot of people are talking about mutants and stuff, and I'm like, I don't see it. And I'll get into why later on. I'm sure we'll get there.
That might be a spoiler, by the way, that they didn't do mutants.
It's fine. It's all right. You can't not. It's been out for a few weeks now. We're all good.
Definitely. We're trying not to spoil things. Well, that's a thing that I was going to say as well. Like, they aren't responsible for our fan theory, so they've got no obligation to meet our expectations when we're setting our own expectations. They do have they should be paying off what they set up themselves. And I think for this series, they paid off what they wanted to pay off. They did set some other things up, and in rewatching it for this, there were some things that I thought, oh, yeah, that wasn't just the fans going off on one. Yeah. They were actually plugging that as being something. But they were red herrings. They were deliberate red herrings. So, yeah, designed for that.
They trolled the fans on certain things, and I think that's amazing. I love it.
Aye. Trolling fans and fan service are equally good, I think.
Yeah, because there's one bit, again, it might be a spoiler, so I might wait. But there was an interview with Paul Bettany where he's like, he got to work with an actor he's watched.
I've got that in my spoilers bit because I'm like, we'll not say who it was.
I love that payoff.
I do like that payoff.
But yeah, again, we might get into a bit more, but there was an interview, and this was another thing with the fan theories because they took this interview out of context. There was an interview, I think, with Elizabeth Olsen, and because, again, this is a spoiler for Mandalorian, but I'm going to spoil it. Luke Skywalker at the end, someone asked her, because it's a Disney Plus thing, what is it going to be a Luke Skywalker-esque or level of cameo? And she said, possibly. Diplomatic answer. Yeah. So everyone was waiting for this big Luke Skywalker cameo. I was hoping it was Luke Skywalker. That'd been great.
Well, they own everything, don't they, Disney? So it could have been.
Yeah.
Just the Mandalorian rocks up with Baby Yoda, throws him at Wanda, and Luke Skywalker slices Baby Yoda in half. And Wanda's like, no, you can't do that, and rewinds time with a magic and stuff like that. I could see. There you go. Disney, call me. I've got. There's loads of these knocking around in my head. Call me.
But in terms of like episode 1, I like how it was just pretty much just a sitcom, and how freaky it became at certain points.
Aye, like the Twilight Zone sort of thing.
And I'm trying hard not to talk about more spoilers.
Well, we can get into that in spoilers. I was trying to go in for a summary of things that I liked in non-spoilers, so that we've got something in non-spoilers and not just. We can't talk about any of this. I think Catherine Hahn is brilliant. She's an absolute standout for me, as she is in everything that I see her in, but Catherine Hahn is an absolute standout. I'm not a huge fan of Elizabeth Olsen, and I don't think she does the big stuff well. Big sort of like huge acting. But what she does do really well, and the cast around her are really good at doing, is the emotional stuff, which is what this is. It's an emotional story.
I think she does. I think she did the big things. The big things well. I thought she was. She's the poster girl in this. She's the front and center, and I thought she was the best thing in this, in my opinion. And I think she did the big stuff really well. But you're right; it's just little things in certain episodes as the show progressed. Some of the little stuff she was doing really stood out.
Yeah.
She's Oscar level.
She is. I mean, I think she's brilliant. I'm just not entirely sure this is the role for her, Wanda Maximoff. But what do I know? I actually thought I thought back to our Hamilton review when we were talking about Lin-Manuel Miranda and how the cast around supports him really well and things like that. And I was thinking, is this the same thing, or have I only got one thought in my head?
Well, I'll be honest with you. For me, I think she is this show. I think she was phenomenal throughout. I really do like her as an actress, and I think she owned it. But especially like the little each era of the sitcom, like she was really believable in the 50s sort of style, and and each time it moved on, she was really believable in it. And but one thing I thought was amazing is, because I've never really thought about it as much in the past, but even though they're a couple, her and Paul Bettany, I'm trying to think they don't have that much screen time overall in the rest of the
They don't,
Marvel
and
films,
that's one thing
together.
that stood out to me this time, again, going back through it again, is that I think the reason why the emotional stuff that happens in this and all the stuff that happens in this really sort of plays so well for me, more so than a lot of the films, and we'll get into that in spoilers. But I think the reason for that is because we've had the time to spend with these two characters that we just haven't had in the films, especially with these two, but also with other characters. You know, that you think of like other characters that pop up in MCU films. They're set up and you know enough about them for the film to function. But like so with this, what else could they do? You know, with other characters, because if they can do this with Wanda, who I wasn't interested in, what else could they do with this? And I'm really excited about what else there is going forward.
But it's their chemistry. I think they were amazing together. And I think I'm trying to think. There's not been that much screen time with the pair of them together in the past.
No,
there's that bit in which one of the Avengers, was it the first Avengers Infinity War, when they were in Edinburgh?
Yes, we'll deep fry your kebab.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, spoilers for Infinity War.
Yeah.
People in Edinburgh will deep fry your kebab.
But then also like there's that, and there's obviously the bit in Endgame that they've got together, or Infinity War, where everyone is. I get those two mixed up. It's just one big film to me. So yeah, even though they're meant to be the couple, you don't really get a lot of them.
No.
And even though a lot of the stuff you're seeing in this might not be as it seems. Try not to spoil things, but the bits together when you know what it's meant to be and you know it's them and it's real and it's just they're so good together. They bounce off each other really well and they're believable as a couple. And I think in real life, I can't remember the exact number, I think there might be an 18-year age gap between
there is. I mean, and that I thought that in the films, you know, when Paul Bettany appears as Paul Bettany, but the thing that they did really well in this is whenever Vision is himself and wanting to be his emotional self, you see him as the Vision, and whenever he's putting on the front, you see him as Paul Bettany. And I think that worked for multiple reasons. It worked for that, but I never noticed it whilst watching it. But you do when you know that, when you know, oh, they put loads of money into these scenes because they really wanted that to be his authentic self, and that's when he was him. And I think that sort of hides the age gap a bit, but I never really thought about it at all after the films. You know, when this series, it never popped up in my head. Yeah. No, should it really? I mean, people of all different ages can do whatever they want. You know, providing that they're over the legal age of consent, of course. So should we jump into spoilers, do you reckon, now?
Yeah, I think we need to.
I'm uneasy anyway. I'm sort of like, I'm looking at stuff going, well, I've put that in my non-spoilers list, but I don't know. Is it a spoiler? So let's just, go and watch WandaVision.
Yes.
Come back, and now spoilers. Paul Bettany cameos as himself. You were going to say something about that.
Yeah. The one actor, everyone's like, oh, who's this actor going to be? Could it be Ian McKellen as Magneto?
I think I was the one who said it's going to be Magneto, Sean. It's going to be Ian McKellen, or it's going to be Michael F. Fassbender. That's who it's going to be.
Let's get on to that, right? If spoilers, obviously you watched it. There's no mutants. X-Men don't turn up, right? So my argument was
we shouldn't have to watch that Wolverine film. Is that going to be your argument?
No. My argument was, why on earth would Marvel want that X-Men cast or that X-Men universe in their universe? Because it died a death.
Well, my argument to that was going to be that some of the characters are beloved, hence Evan Peters coming into this. While people didn't like the films, they like it. They like some of the cast, and they like Michael Fassbender. They like, what's his name? James McAvoy. They like Ian McKellen. They like Patrick Stewart and things like that, and they like Evan Peters. So my argument to that would have been that it was a multi-dimensional thing. So after Evan Peters rocked up, I'm like, we're going to get a Magneto. Because it's multi-dimensional, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. But then that's the thing as well, though, because it is going to be it's a multiverse thing. That's what they're setting up. Because I think WandaVision, the third Spider-Man, and Doctor Strange 2, it's all going to kind of be, it's not like a trilogy of things, but it's kind of an interwoven story.
Yeah.
That's how they're setting up the multiverse thing. And yeah, that could be a thing. It could be just from other universes. But then my argument to that would have been, if they want to set up their own, why would they introduce the others as well? Yeah. Unless they're going to close them off.
Aye. The other one was, why would they introduce it in a TV series that people might not watch? You know, because I had no intention of watching these TV shows, because I'm like, look, I haven't got the time. I'll watch the films when they come out.
Well, I think because of COVID, I think including WandaVision's the first of 10 Marvel properties this year.
Aye.
10. four of them are series. The rest are films. That's a lot. But, you know, about 4 of them are meant to be coming out last year, so, you know, we'll let them off. But yeah, so it's like with the Evan Peters thing though, I was thinking I didn't want him to be the other Quicksilver because I thought that's an amazing troll from Marvel. I wanted them to be trolling us because I thought it was brilliant. Because I'm thinking they want to have that kind of part of the story. They want to get into that like dramatic part for Wanda's story.
Yeah.
What can they do? They can't get somebody who just happens to look a little bit like Aaron Taylor Johnson. They can't get Aaron Taylor Johnson because it wouldn't make sense emotionally or storyline wise. So it's going to be a fake one. Who can we get? We own Fox now. Because if they didn't own Fox, they wouldn't have got Evan Peters, I don't think.
No, they wouldn't have. No, they wouldn't have been able to use him. No, so I mean, but when Evan Peters rocked up the door at the end of that episode, I'm not like one of these people who gets excited in my living room watching stuff. I don't even do that in the cinema, but I started clapping. I stood up as well. I stood up in my living room, started clapping. I'm like, yes, well done, because it just got me excited, and I'm like, oh, that's brilliant. Yeah. And no matter what they did with it, that moment was brilliant. Oh, yeah. You know, like moments in films and TV, regardless of what happens thereafter, that moment when he showed up at the door, I was like, oh, yes.
But it's Darcy's reaction as well. It's like, you recast Pietro?
Yeah, and then the following episode was like, is that Quicksilver? Like, yeah, but he's got the wrong face. Like, Darcy was really annoyed about it. Oh, Kat Dennings, I thought was amazing.
She's amazing.
I've got a quote from her, which after Wanda breaks through the hex and comes out and has a go at the guy, and, you know, he ruins it. They all walk into, like, a briefing room, and Kat Dennings turns around and says, here he comes, the man who almost got murdered by his own murder squad.
Yeah. Honestly, just the little things she does as well, because like the one negative thing I've got, like she just vanishes at the end. She's gone.
I was a bit disappointed at that, but that's COVID.
Is that what it was?
She was meant to be coming in for another scene, but because of COVID, she couldn't get there.
Right.
As was Doctor Strange. There was an actual Doctor Strange cameo planned originally. Yeah. But this was way back when there was 10 episodes.
Because I thought there was going to be maybe him or Spider-Man because they're interlinked, so it wouldn't have been as. But then again, it wouldn't have been. Why would that be amazing? Because you expect to see them, so it would have been cool to see them. Yeah. But it wouldn't be something worth getting. Like, oh, could they turn up?
I like to be surprised. So, like, I don't want things to do what I expect them to do. I want to be surprised, and that's what this did. So.
There was one thing I was hoping to see, and that was because I thought, if anything, I didn't think they were going to do X-Men. I thought, well, yeah, they could do Doctor Strange. That won't be a surprise because he's, you know, Wanda's in the new Doctor Strange film. So, you know, that wouldn't be a major stretch. So the one thing I was hoping, if they were going to do anything from out of nowhere, I thought they might have introduced the Fantastic Four in this.
Yeah, aye. Which that was one of the rumors, like the person who was going to build the car could have been Reed Richards, yeah. And
the only thing with that is, I didn't buy into, like, there was a lot of things, oh, they're setting it up for this engineer's going to be a massive reveal. I was like, no, they haven't. I was like, they've mentioned this engineer, they referred to it as a guy, so I assumed it was a he, twice. But then watching it back, they never said their name. I thought, well, maybe that's why people thought, oh, who is it? Because they're not mentioning the name.
No, people would just jump onto anything thinking it means something.
But then they weren't mentioning the name because it's not a character we know.
Yeah. I mean, the Senor Scratchy thing and things as well, you know, about being possibly Satan or whatever, or the devil, sorry.
Yeah, because isn't in the comics, her son is called Scratch, is he not? Or something like that.
Yeah,
something to do with that.
Stephen Scratch, probably, isn't it? It's Marvel's sort of being alliterative name. Anyway, we've been recording for about half an hour now, and we've talked mainly about what they didn't do.
Yeah. That's us. Welcome to Waffle. That's what we do.
But so I was going to say, like, what was your favourite episode then? Do you have a favourite or a favourite moment?
There's loads of favourite moments. My favourite episode might be the second to last one.
Mine too.
Like
that's mine.
Yeah, the flashback thing, yeah.
It's actually called Previously On. I noticed that today. Brilliant.
I love the titles of each episode.
I'd never noticed them when they were coming out, but I did watching through it again, yeah.
Very clever. But what my favourite moment, what episode is it? It's 4 or 5. It's basically Vision's twigging on there's something not right here. And it's the episode where he does his little touch on the side of the head of Norm.
Yes.
And the real guy breaks out and he's like, oh, she's doing this, she's doing that. And he goes back and Wanda's like, oh, I'm not doing anything. And the credits start rolling and the music's playing. And the conversation between Wanda and Vision just turns. Vision's like, like, what are you doing?
And they both fly up and they're opposite each other like that.
Yeah, but then
you can't see this, listeners, but I'm doing it with my fingers.
Yeah, that looks about right.
They've got the knees up, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
And then, before that, though, it's like how the nice, happy-go-lucky music's playing, the credits start rolling.
Aye.
And the sound, what you're hearing, what you're kind of seeing with words, is all nice and happy, but what you hear in the dialogue is anger And she's like, "You've never spoken to me like this before." And he says something on the lines of like, he doesn't know what he's done before.
Yeah.
He's like, why don't I know anything, blah blah. And
she's trying to do what she's done in the previous episodes and just wind it forward and wind it back and just move on and just change the room or whatever and move forward a decade in sitcoms. And he's like, no,
because he says something like, "You can't control me like you control everybody else," and she just goes, "Can't I?" And it's like, oh,
I created you, bitch. Oh, fuck! You did what?
Because the one thing I was hoping for, because it would have been left field. Obviously, you, like me and you, will watch review stuff on YouTube and that, and you kind of get influenced by maybe what you want and what you expect. We both watched John Campea. He wanted it to go balls to the wall. Wanda is evil. She's the villain. She's turned to the dark side. And because a lot of it, to be honest, it is setting up that. Because what she's doing isn't nice.
The thing is, I think it does do that. And I think she shouldn't have gotten away as lightly as she did with it. Like, if that was ISIS that took a town captive and tortured them for a couple of weeks, what was it, 9 weeks in our heads? Or was it a few days? No matter how long ISIS tortured... Keep saying ISIS. Will this get pulled down if I keep saying ISIS? Oh, God. Whatever terrorist organisation, if they were to take a whole town captive and torture every single member of that town, including the children, by the way, we would not be saying, "Oh, bless her, but she's just a bit upset the way." We wouldn't be saying, no matter who was doing it, we'd be like, "Oh, these people need to be controlled, by the way. They need to be stopped from doing that, and they don't get away with it just because they're sorry or they didn't mean to do it." "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do it." Fucking tough. These people didn't have a choice in the torture, and the children were trapped in cupboards being mentally abused and stuff like that for however long you were there. You don't just get to walk out. Monica Rambeau's like, "Oh, they'll never know what you sacrificed." Like, well, yeah, she did sacrifice, but the things that she sacrificed were either already dead or didn't exist before she fucked up in the first place. Yeah. So, sorry, this rant was brought to you by Billy.
But it's true though, because again, that's what I was I was thinking she has to go full evil here, and I wanted to see her break down, because I was thinking when the other Vision turns up, he's going to kill the Vision she's created. It's going to kill the boys, and she's just going to lose the shit. That's her evil, boom. And then, but I was kind of dreading this cookie cutter comic book film ending where it all works out for the best. You kind of got the best of both worlds. Yeah, you kind of got a bit of both. But again, what you said is completely right. What she did was evil. She tortured these people. They said so much. Like the woman at the end, I can't remember the actress's name, but she played Phoebe's brother's wife in Friends.
Yes, or somebody Jo Rudd. Deborah Jo Rudd. Yes.
Well, she's like, "If you're not going to let us go, can you kill us?" She says something like that, and that's what she's done to those people.
Aye, exactly. And that actually, I mean, fair play to them for the writers and the actors and all that sort of stuff. That brings it bang straight there. You know what they're talking about. You know what they've gone through. She wants to die rather than enduring any more of this.
Yeah, but that's what I loved about this. They weren't scared to take it to dark places. No, but that's what I loved about the writing of this, because yes, it's bad what she's doing, and yes, you're saying like if this was real life, nobody would care about why these people are doing this. But it tells you, because I forgot and I didn't realise just what she's went through. Aye. This is a broken woman.
Oh, they really sort of spell it out. Again, that's why my favourite episode, same as yours, is episode 8, because it goes back through everything, all the torture and turmoil that she's been through. So you kind of are sympathetic with her. The thing my favourite thing about the whole thing is that it's grief. It's so relatable, you know. And the bit that made me cry the most was the end, the actual end, when Vision and her are stood in the living room. They said goodbye to the boys. That absolutely crushed me. But the bit that made me cry in episode 8... Oh, sorry.
No, I was just going to say when she says to the sons, "Thanks for choosing me to be your mum."
Oh, yeah, that got me.
Fuck. Yeah. Oh, man. Because I've read
I'll talk about something offline about that as well, as to why that got me, but that's not for you fuckers.
It's just for this fucker.
You're not getting that deep into my heart, listeners. I'll tell Sean, bastards.
But oh God, it's because I've read and heard things online about how people are like, "Oh, that's a bit weird how she took her sons into bed and then let them die." Well, it's like, yeah. It's like, why didn't she say, "Oh, you know, this is it, blah blah"? No, she wouldn't. You wouldn't. She wants her kids to go to sleep happy and in love.
When the comet's coming down, you hug your children closely, and you just
Yeah.
put the telly on, don't you? It's like you don't tell them to look out the window.
If something scary is going on, you distract them.
Yeah. So you protect them from everything because there's no point. It's they're in stressing them out.
Yeah, just let them. If you know what's going to happen, let them be happy as much as they can be. And when they say, "Good job, you did a really good job today. We're so proud of you." And they say, when she says, "Thanks for choosing me to be your mum," thanks for choosing me. And I was like, this woman's lost everything. She's losing everything again.
Yeah.
She's going to see Vision die for the third fucking time.
Oh, that was the thing with Vision's death as well. We're in spoilers, aren't we? Yeah.
Yeah, we're in spoilers.
The thing with Vision's death is
I hope so.
None of these deaths have ever meant anything to me. The end of Infinity War, I'm like, well, they're all coming back in the next one. This is a two-parter. We already know that. Even Vision's death kind of got me a bit in the film. Black Panther's death kind of gets me more now, knowing that Chadwick Boseman's actually gone. But out of all the Marvel stuff, all the deaths in Marvel, they made Vision's death stick, and I thought that watching through this from the start again, he's dead at the beginning of this. And when you're watching through fully knowing that Vision is dead, and this is just her grief bursting out of her, you're like, oh fuck. And then you get to the end, like you say, she's losing Vision for the third time. And even though he's saying, I've been a disembodied voice, I've been a body but not human, who knows what'll be next? And, he says, we've said goodbye before, I feel sure we'll say hello again. But he's still dying, like he's still having his death. Even though, like, that's one thing I always have problems with films about consciousness. You're not transferring your consciousness, you're copying your consciousness, and he has done into White Vision. And but even so, he still has to have his death. He still has to die. The Ship of Theseus thing's brilliant for that as well, because everyone knows the Ship of Theseus and things like that, and you've had that thought experiment. But what does that actually mean practically? And they do such a good job with that.
Yeah, well, there's a lot. Like one thing, like the writing in this is so good. Like even some lines that might sound cheesy, like that bit where it's like, "Oh, we've said goodbye before, we'll say hello again," or whatever. That could be really cheesy if delivered a certain way.
Well, those are the small moments that I mentioned that has done absolutely. As much as I'm not a fan of Elizabeth Olsen as a performer, that crushed me.
Yeah, and when Monica goes back in and Anna's like, "What are you doing here?" and she's like, "Just have to stop it," and she just turns around and goes, "No, don't make me hurt you," because that's just how much she does not want this to go. She doesn't want to lose these people again. But at the end, the realization, she could have easily like broke down and like she could have turned that performance into more cry and more, but she didn't. She just held it back and she made it internal. The bit on the flashback episode when they're in the Avengers compound and she's sitting on the bed watching Malcolm in the Middle.
Yeah.
The conversation like goes on between them, and just the way she looks at him sometimes and laughs, and just little things like that.
Yeah, and his little sort of nervous laughters as well, like tiny little things that he does when he laughs and he looks to her to make sure that he is supposed to be laughing.
Yeah,
and she's like, "No, it's
good.
funny." It's like,
it's adorable.
It's so cute. It is adorable. And you sent me a meme of that, so I won't spoil you doing the line if you want to do the line.
No, but I'm trying to think the line exactly. I don't want to get it wrong.
What is grief if not love persevering?
Man, what poet came up with that? Why have I not heard that before? That should be something you expect.
I know. And in that same episode as well, like when she finally gets to the house where they were going to live and the grief bursts out of her.
Yeah.
Everything hit home for me in that moment because I'd cried at the video box because you'd realised this is what it's all about. This is why it's all sitcoms for her, because that's her touchstone.
That was her sort of happy place.
And then when she gets to the house and the grief sort of bursts out of her, I thought, when I've grieved before, I do get angry and I might lash out at people. And that does hurt other people. And you're like, oh, fuck, that's so relatable as a human. And it's... what are they doing, Marvel, in this? Like, to me, emotionally. And when you have a memory of someone, like that memory of Vision comes out of her and it becomes corporeal and all that sort of thing. But when you remember someone who you've grieved about before, you then have to mourn and lose them again a little bit.
Yeah.
So that was so beautiful.
It is.
The whole series is just that.
There's certain bits in this just where it's just like, there's no other way to describe it other than beautiful. And some people like... That can be overused, that word, to describe things. It can sound a bit pretentious sometimes, whatever. But no, in a superhero TV series where there's a witch, there's like this robot that can fly and like zoom through things like a ghost. There's people who run really fast. There's all that kind of stuff. It's the emotional stuff that really stood out in this, and it was a drama, simple as.
Yeah, and that's the thing for me. Like, no matter what else they did, they were true to the emotional heart of what they were writing and what they were making, and that all paid off. So for me, it didn't matter if they left some ends hanging or they didn't quite do everything that I wanted them to do. It doesn't matter because they told the story that they were telling, and they absolutely nailed it.
And let's be honest, like I said, it's going to be playing into the new Spider-Man film. It's going to be playing in Doctor Strange 2. As far as I know, there's not going to be a series 2. So this is it. What we've got, it's basically like it's Wanda's solo film, but split up into 9 episodes. So it's a lot more of Wanda. It's like she's got her own trilogy. If you think about it, time-wise, it could work out as a trilogy of films.
Yeah.
Aye. So this is her story. They could have easily wrapped everything up in a bow, as you usually do with a series, if it's only going to be those finite number of episodes. But they didn't, because they're going to touch on things. They mentioned the Sorcerer Supreme in the final episode. So she's going to be in Doctor Strange 2. So things could get brought up and wrapped up in that. So there's plenty of time to tie up some loose ends that might be.
Aye. Well, also as well, one thing Kevin Feige's mentioned is, and I never thought about it until this, but it's an origin story, and I'm like, fuck, it is.
Yeah.
And I thought I was sick of them.
Yeah, it's the origin of the Scarlet Witch, and that's what I found funny, because we've all referred to her as the Scarlet Witch in previous films, but Marvel never have.
No, she's Wanda, isn't she? One thing I'll put in as a negative, but it's just for me. I always think back to a review I watched with Alonso Duralde. Do you ever watch or listen to him or read any of his stuff? He writes for The Wrap, but film critic, and he always says, or has said, don't review the film they didn't make.
You're right. Yeah.
and I love that as a thing. But if it's justified,
yeah.
I was a bit disappointed that the magic was just lights shooting at each other.
Right.
Because they kind of got Vision, right? Because Vision flies and he's phasing and stuff and using his powers a bit more. And I thought, well, you've spent all this time building Wanda up as a magical character now. What are you going to do with magic? Because they did loads of great stuff with Doctor Strange so far, and they did use the runes. So she has learned something. So that was a payoff. But I just thought there could have been a bit more, Vision was phasing in and out and things like that. And he stayed true to his character by having the intellectual philosophical conversation that eventually resolved the conflict. So I thought maybe Wanda could have had a bit more of that.
Yeah, I get that.
Rather than just shooting like each other. There
was a bit where she used her sort of old Wanda power, when the little sort of mind manipulation.
The wibbly booblies or whatever. Because Evan Peters, they do throw shade at their own films as well.
Oh, they do, yeah. And she's like, when Agnes is revealed to be Agatha, she's like, that accent really does come and go.
She does. Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Sorry, on you go.
No, I was just going to say, like as fans, we all can take stuff like that so seriously, but when Marvel don't take themselves seriously, why should we? If they're going to take the mick out of themselves and point little flaws and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But what I like what they did with her accent, it really came out when she was the Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, or they picked the moments for it, and people have been saying, where did that accent go over the films? Because it was in one film and then it wasn't in any of the other films. And you're like, this is why, and they had a reason for it. Like, fuck yeah, well done. I've got to talk musical themes.
Right.
My favourite, I think, is maybe the Naughties episode where they were doing the sort of Malcolm in the Middle, and Agatha Harkness had naughty over her pants and stuff like that. That was my favourite intro. But Agatha all along.
You know that was like right in the charts, like the
download
charts. I don't know if it got number 1, but it got up there.
Oh, brilliant!
But because I loved it because it reminded me of like is it the Munsters and things like that had that kind of feel to it.
It did, you're right, it did. Yeah, it's like the Munsters Addams Family sort of thing. It was more Munsters, I think, wasn't it, than Addams Family?
Yeah. Another thing, like the lyrics to that, because to begin with, I thought they were just because Agatha all along was telling us, oh, she's doing everything. But it's not. It was like the things that didn't make sense she was doing. The things that we're all questioning she was doing.
Yeah. And there's loads of sort of like hints to things that you get on your second viewing. Like for the advert, the Yo Magic advert. And that was just before you learned that Agatha was draining Yo Magic.
Yeah, because that's another thing, obviously we mentioned before, but that's one thing, when I watched other people, especially John Campbell, going back to him, he picked up on that straight away, but he didn't expect Agatha to turn up at all. He thought it was going to be somebody else.
Right.
But he says, I think that they've told us what's happening. And they did, in that advert, it told us what was happening.
Yeah. I've got the list of adverts. I actually listed them down when I was going through them because I kind of want to talk them. So the first one is a Stark toaster. So okay, that's Stark. The next one is Strucker. A Strucker watch. So it's got Hydra written of it, and that's Baron von Strucker.
Yeah.
He's the one that kept her captive and did experiments on her and her brother and things. Hydra Soak is the bath soap in episode 3.
And Hydra's self-explanatory.
And in the episode 4 there wasn't, because that was the recap episode from the outside.
But
it did finish with Voodoo Child, which I thought was a cool thing, because that's a good voodoo magic thing. I thought that was quite cool.
Yeah.
Lagos paper towels, when you make a mess that you didn't mean to. I can't believe I didn't actually, I was like, what was Lagos again? Oh yeah. And then Yo Magic was episode 6, and then the next one was Nexus Antidepressant.
I didn't know what that was, and it was only through watching it
was Kevin Smith. I watched Kevin Smith was like, it's Nexus being multi-dimensional, so Nexus is something that's constant throughout. Aye, so that's them. That's all there was. That's all the adverts that we had. Did you watch the post credits this time, Sean?
I did. I only don't watch it when it's not really superhero, because I don't expect to see any. If it's a superhero thing, I will watch it. I will go to the end just in case. But that's the thing. The first time they did a post-credit thing, or technically a mid-credit thing, it didn't do anything. It was pointless. I thought the first one.
The first one was Snoopers going Snoop, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was just kind of like it just seemed a bit like, why was that the first one?
Why was that a post-credits? Just put that at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Well, when I was speaking to people about it, even on the last episode, I was like, "Oh, what did you think of Wanda in the cabin?" And everyone, and the people that I was speaking to were like, "What?" Like, it's Marvel. I stayed until the end of the credits. The ones where it tells you who did all the voices in all the different countries and things like that.
But you mentioned the music. What I really liked was obviously the TV themes themselves.
Yeah, aye.
Each one of them really fun. But just the general score of it as well, I thought was quite good. And the use of other songs, like Voodoo Child and things like that. The use of other songs that they played.
Did you know who did the TV theme?
No.
I can't remember the names, but it's the husband and wife couple who write all the music for Frozen.
Oh, Lopez.
Probably, yeah.
Is it Lopez?
Why not?
Yes, because he did Avenue Q, which was one of my favourite musicals. Robert Lopez and Kristen Anderson Lopez.
One thing they showed you how they sort of came up with the WandaVision, and then everything was just a riff on that. But there was some really good musical talent that got involved in those things.
Each one of them sounded like it could have been just ripped from the time period it was meant to be in. They were really clever.
Speaking of score as well, I was finished watching I was almost at the end of episode 9, and Phil, friend of the podcast, hi Phil, fan, had texted me to say, "Oh, what did you think of the last scene?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, great. The kids were screaming and stuff. Was that the kids screaming?" It's like, "What did you think of the score?" I'm like, "Never noticed it. Why? What happened?" And apparently it's the Doctor Strange score in a minor key that's played over the end of that. Did you get that?
I didn't know. Well spotted. But if anyone else, feel free to let us know. Contact us about stuff.
Let us know of everything that we've missed from WandaVision.
Yes, because there will be. We're already past the window we set ourselves. But no, but it makes sense if she's going to be in Doctor Strange 2, so that makes sense. Mm-hmm. I did love that bit. I was so I was like, oh, she's got her own little cabin. Bless her, she's all alone. Wait a minute, it's herself and her. I know. She's got herself a company there.
I almost thought, after all the grief stuff, I thought she needs to be around some Avengers. She needs someone to hug.
That's one thing, right? If you think about it, where were the Avengers? Where were they? Because a lot of them they're gone, or they're they're now old or whatever. But if anyone,
but you would have called, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I know. I get it.
That never bothers me. I never think about that because they're telling what the story.
Okay, yeah, but sometimes it's right. For us, it was 9 episodes, 9 weeks. For them, I think it was in storyline. I think it's 3 days, 4 days, something like that. So if anything, I think one person that maybe should have been. I thought Hawkeye, because every other time she's had a bit of a moment, he's been there to talk around.
Yeah.
Calm her down, get her on side.
Fuck all else to do with those weird haircuts.
Yeah, because on Ultron,
kicking his mate over a cliff. Yeah. So, spoilers for Infinity War. No, Endgame. Sorry.
Because on Age of Ultron, where Wanda and Pietro are introduced, he's the one who like gets her to come around. He's like, because the city's flying, He's like, come on, either help us or just, or don't. And he gets her on side, and he's there. Her brother dies for him.
Yes, because he stops the bullet whilst Hawkeye's helping people onto that craft. And you forget all that. I mean, after every episode, Disney Plus was trying to get me to watch Age of Ultron. I didn't.
Well, that's because I read a theory that Ultron's going to be the big bad, because that's why, because it was everybody, I think, was getting it. Because sometimes I think it just pops up whatever they think for you. But no, it was always Age of Ultron.
It was always, but I suppose that's the reason for that is because
it's her first introduction.
It is her origin story. So
I did appreciate how they weren't, because for me, right, the whole sitcom thing, like I said earlier on, it was a brave choice, because those styles of sitcoms haven't been popular for so long, and it's brave because a lot of the Marvel fans won't know what the Dick Van Dyke Show is. They won't know. Some of them won't even know what Malcolm in the Middle was. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it didn't actually touch on any sitcoms that I've ever been interested in or watched. I was aware of Malcolm in the Middle, and was aware of the other ones that it touched on, and I've probably seen the odd episode of Bewitched and the Dick Van Dyke Show, but I was never really into them, and I was surprised that they sort of skipped over the likes of Friends and How I Met Your Mother and things. But I suppose with the ones that, looking back over it, the ones that they used fed better into the story they were telling. So
and because a lot of the ones they used as well they stood out a bit, had something different, because Malcolm in the Middle, they had that narration, they spoke to you and stuff like that.
Breaking the fourth wall.
Again, Modern Family, it's like the Office type thing. It's like the interviews, fake documentaries. But then if they did the 90s and stuff, nothing really stands out about that kind of style. There's nothing unique about them.
Yeah.
Where the other ones, what's unique about the other ones, it's the look of them.
Yeah.
Because 91s, some of them still hold up visually today. They look there's an episode of Friends on the TV, shock. And I caught it the other day, and it looked like it wasn't that long ago, to be fair to it.
Aye.
So the 80s ones, there's something that stands out about them more. So I get why
the thing you would have done with Friends would be the sets. I would imagine it would be the colours and we had that thing on the door or something. But when I was thinking about what they were actually doing, the time to break the fourth wall was that time, so they needed to break the fourth wall. So using that style made sense, And I didn't notice it the first time through, but when they replay the intro to the Dick Van Dyke Show and he falls over that poof.
Yeah.
But then Vision walks through it, just little things I picked up on the second one. I was like, oh yeah, I hadn't thought or noticed that, but yeah.
And again, going back to what you were saying about what our favourite episode is, because they could have easily went wait, she's going to have to set up her own little universe. It's going to be broadcasting like a TV show. What can we do? They could have easily said we could do a superhero show. We can do superhero films. It can be something, and they went for vintage sitcoms, and it's just such a brave
it's cool.
But again, sitcoms, because we're saying, it's so emotional. It's all about grief. It's all about loss. Sitcoms was a perfect choice.
Yeah,
because it brings a levity.
Aye,
and it brings that little bit of happiness that they need, and it's her happy world. And the way they touch into her family, watching that kind of stuff, because her dad's selling them to make a bit of money. They're learning English.
Yeah. Oh.
And and that was her happy time. When young Wanda's watching it, just the massive smile on her face.
It was one of those ones where as soon as I saw the smile on her face, everything clicked and a tear just started rolling down my face. I'm like, oh, it's perfect.
And because we know the story, I was like, this is going to be the day where our family dies. I was like, this is it. And then boom. I was like, bastards.
Did you watch episode 10 yet?
The sort of the behind the scenes documentary thing. Because I've been watching that much stuff for this episode, I haven't got around to it. I'm going to watch it tomorrow.
I'll get into it. I won't spoil anything for you. If I hadn't been watching that for this podcast, I would have stopped watching it, because it really got on my nerves how much they were blowing themselves about how good they were. It's like, we had to get the original lights, and we had to get this audience stuff. It's like, look, mate, you could have fucking done this on a lesser budget, but Marvel were chucking money at you, so you decided to do it like this. That's fine, but stop sucking your own dick about it so much and just get on with it. And they were all like that. Every single person that they interviewed, Elizabeth Olsen was like, oh, I was so happy that I got to do this, and I've learned all this stuff in film school, and you do all these things, and you never think you're going to have to use it, and now I have. It's like, look, right, okay, it's a job. Stop, just stop. It wasn't that good. And I think It was just, we don't want things to be that saccharine. We're a cynical nation, the Brits. We want there to be something shit. Like, even if everyone loved each other and everyone got on like a house on fire every day on set, we still want there to be something a bit shit that we want to find out exposed in this documentary. And it was just all of that. We had such a good time making it, and aren't we good? And isn't this the best thing you've ever seen? It's like, it was really fucking good, but stop blowing yourself about it. This rant was also brought to you by Billy. So why am I ranting? I love this fucking show. Why am I ranting about it so much?
This is a safe space. If you want to rant, you rant. But you know what? It might have been the best place to work. It might have been the happiest environment. And I get like what you mentioned about like it was great for like going back to film school type thing and getting to act a certain way. Like, because obviously I get that, like an opportunity to act like you're in a 50s sitcom. Yeah. They're not going to make those styles of sitcoms anymore. So if you're getting an opportunity to dress like that, to act like that in a set like that, it's like you're doing a period piece. So yeah. I get the excitement, and there's so much. One day she'll be doing that, the next day she'll be on wires, you know, flying and shooting magic out of her hands. So I hope, because obviously I don't know if they're going to, because obviously next week, the Falcon and Winter Soldier is on, and they've got a job on their hands.
Yeah,
like but again, right, saying that, it doesn't have to be better than WandaVision. It doesn't have to be as good. It just has to be good.
Yeah,
it just has to be its own thing, and it's very different. It's like a espionage spy type feel. That's what I get from it. But Marvel, they're off to a good start with WandaVision.
They are, and given that I was not interested in this, I was starting to think like, well, who else would I want to see have this sort of time spent on their character? And the first one that popped into my head was Falcon. But I thought I might want a Falcon prequel with his original partner that led up to him being in that sort of help group where Cap meets him. That's sort of what I want to see of Falcon. Maybe there's a comic book for that. Listeners, if there's a comic book that I can read that would give me that story, can you let us know? Please? Listeners, are you there? Listeners!
and if you think you might know somebody else who might know, get them to listen to us, and then we'll tell them how to get in touch.
Aye. The one thing we haven't talked about, that I've got on my list, is Monica Rambeau.
No, that was... Because I don't know, obviously, all I know about her is what we see in Captain Marvel.
Well, I had that spoiled on the cast list. I went to the cast list, I'm like, is that Catherine Hahn? And next door, I was like, it looks like Catherine Hahn, but because she was all dolled up in the first one, I couldn't tell. So I went into a cast list, and I was like, it is Catherine Hahn. She's playing Agnes next door. I was like, oh, that's fine. And then just on the same page, I was like, what, Monica Rambeau's in this? But of course, she wasn't Monica Rambeau until like episode 4 or something. And I was like, oh, that spoiled that for me.
Well, because kind of something happened with them, because I went onto the first, like, it was IMDb, and it said that Kat Dennings was in episode 1, but she's not.
All right, aye.
Well, technically her hands are. But I was like, she wasn't in that. I was like, I know she's in the universe, because she's in the Thor films, but she wasn't in episode 1, was she? And then she wasn't in episode 2. She was, like, what, 4 she turns up, I guess?
Yeah.
And I was like, she's not in this. Why are they lying to me?
I thought she might have more to do when she got into the town as well. Again, stop reviewing what they didn't make. But I mean, because she's got that sitcom pedigree, and they all have as well. Like, I didn't, Elizabeth Olsen would have been sat around sets watching her sisters in a sitcom for most of the 90s. And the director, Matt Shackman, who directed the whole thing. I mean, that's unusual for a TV series. We should mention that. For a director to direct every single episode. Yeah. Usually, you got your showrunners who are in charge, and the directors are guns for hire on TV. But no, Marvel were like, we've only done TV. We've only done films, so we're treating this like a film, and you're the director. And he was a child actor on 80s and 90s sitcoms.
All right, I've not looked into it, to be honest. So.
Billy's Trivia Corner.
You're not stealing that bit, right? That's my bit.
That is yours. That's your thing. Another bit of trivia as well, which you actually alerted me to, and I'd completely missed, which is an odd thing, because it was an episode or 2 into it before you text me about it, or mentioned it to us, is that, and no one else is going to have this trivia, we'll just put that out there, absolutely no other podcast will have this piece of trivia. Go and get all your friends, get them to listen to this, listen to a podcast, as this is an absolute exclusive piece of trivia just to this podcast. My dad's called Billy, and his twin, who's a couple of minutes older than him, is called Tommy. and they had a pet called Sparky.
It's brilliant. Sparky wasn't.
It wasn't a dog, no. But maybe in WandaVision it wasn't a dog. Maybe it was a sheep. Not. By the way,
Yeah,
they had a pet. They had a pet sheep. Who played with the dog as well? It thought it was a dog.
Yeah, it thought it was a dog. It'd go and walk with the dog.
Maybe that was WandaVision. Maybe they've heard that story from one of our family members.
I'm telling you, Wanda is your granny.
Oh, she's dead now. Got to grief and mourn her.
Have you got any latent super abilities?
No, I'm not fast. Well, I am fast. Rapid refreshes. That's where I get that from. I've inherited. So it's so diluted through the ages that my quick power is that I can talk quite quickly and I never shut up. Brilliant.
One day you're just going to explode this massive just talking, and it's just going to create a world.
Imagine that if everything I say becomes true.
Oh God!
Oh shit! I better stop talking. Sorry, we were talking about Monica Rambeau.
Yeah, we're just jumping ahead. Never mind that. I'll have to do some edit on that, but yeah. So
Monica Rambeau. What I was going to say about her was I liked the way they used the blip, and I'm excited about what they might do in the future.
Yes, because it's the first time you see people actually come out of it, as far as I remember.
The Spider-Man did it. Oh no, so you didn't see them. You didn't see them unfazed, did you? Sort of thing. Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, and how she just didn't have a clue what was going on. I would have liked them to maybe dive into how she dealt with that a little bit more.
Because she's been robbed of her last minute. She was sat by her mum's bed and she was sick.
Yeah, and
she didn't get to say goodbye or anything like that. She was robbed of that. So it's not an inconsequential thing.
Like I know she kind of touches on it at the end when she says to Wanda, like if I could, I would have brought her back.
Yeah.
So she gets why Wanda did it. So they're kind of touching it a bit, but yeah, maybe. And there's something with her and Captain Marvel. Every time she's brought up Captain Marvel, Monica's just like, no, let's just talk.
Well, she's in Captain Marvel, and
her
mum.
But I'm saying though, there's something between them. Like she's caught up with her at some point, or maybe she hasn't, because she's not happy with Captain Marvel. Every time they mention her, she changes the subject. So no, we're not talking about her.
Yeah, because she's when she first comes back, and that guy's walking through the corridor, and he says, "Oh, there's enemies out there. Space is full of enemies." And she's like, "Yeah, it always has been, and friends."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, does she mean Captain Marvel there?" But like, you're right. When they're talking about Captain Marvel later on, she kind of changes the subject.
Yeah.
And she's now got superpowers.
Yeah.
Because of that, so there's rumors that she might be Photon. I noticed on the way through, like, it focuses in on her mum's call sign.
Yeah, and that's because I think she's had because I don't pretend to know a lot about the comics, but I think she's had
neither.
3 or 4. I think she has been Captain Marvel at some point as well. And it's Photon.
Yes, she has. Yeah.
There's Photon something else in Captain Marvel. I think she's been.
I thought that was a bit cheap at the end, where they get like, and now the Skrulls have come to take away Monica Rambeau, and I'm like, don't let that be the last thing in WandaVision. If it was going to be, then it should be either Wanda walking out the town on her own, or losing everything at the house.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be come to space with us. It's like, no, you've completely ruined the emotional end to that story.
But again, obviously, the thing I think they can kind of get away with it a little bit, because it's not just your average TV series.
No,
it ties into the bigger universe, so they can kind of get away with that. But yeah, I liked her as a character. I thought she was very likable, interesting character. I do think there's something. I think maybe she might just be that annoyed with Captain Marvel because she hasn't come back. Maybe she hasn't seen her since she saw her at the end of Captain Marvel. Talking about things like I felt like they left untouched and didn't go back to. So the guy that gets sent into the sewer, Agent Franklin. Why do we never saw his face, did we?
Think so, no.
Because it's all dark and he's got his suit thing on. Then he goes in, he becomes a beekeeper, and you still don't see his face. What happened? You don't know what happened to him. She just says no, and that's it. You never hear about him again.
Yeah, aye. Does he get fired out like Monica Rambeau? Maybe they just didn't want to redo that beat or do that beat as soon.
So overall, and go and give you overall assessment. What do you think? I think it's clear. It's safe to say we both loved it.
Yeah, I absolutely did. I absolutely loved it. There's a few minor points for me, but overall, I loved the way they did it. I loved the way they structured it. I loved the release schedule. I like how, I wasn't going to watch any Marvel TV series, but now I want to watch everything that Marvel ever does. They could do anything now, and I'll watch it. I was into the films, but now I'm more into this. And the biggest thing I loved about this was that they were true to the emotional heart of the characters and the story that they wanted to tell. And for me, that's everything.
You took the words right in me gob. I mean, like, to me, like, I think one bit we kind of differ on is how you were saying, like, you thought Catherine Hahn was kind of the standout for you, and she was amazing. But to me, it was all about Elizabeth Olsen for me. I think she was amazing in it. But yeah, like you said, they didn't forget the emotional points of it. They didn't stray away from that. Yes, it was funny. It had its little moments. It went a bit, it took you there. But at the heart of it, it was about a woman dealing with her grief, and they weren't scared to shy away. They didn't shy away from it. They weren't scared to dive into it. They didn't forget that's what that was about in a superhero setting. And I love how brave they were with the choices they made. You weren't about how, like, the little details that you might miss the first time. It just shows you how much they know their product.
Yeah, cool. So next section. Welcome to the TV series review section.
Dramatic.
That's just a different way of getting into this. I thought, just like welcome. Bit of a pause. Here we go. I'm not talking as quickly this time. Let's see if I can get the rapid refresh done, though. So, just so you know, what we do here is we review 2 episodes of a TV series. We've been doing Snowpiercer, Series 1, and we're up to Episode 7, which is called The Universe is Different, and Episode 8, These Are His Revolutions. So we're going to go through them. We basically, what I do is I start up with a rapid refresh and rattle through everything that happened. It's spoilers from the off. I go away and watch it and come back. Don't expect us to not spoil anything because I'm going to run through the entire episode up top. Yes. So try and do a rapid refresh. We usually try and do it in under 2 minutes. I reckon I can do it in under a 1:45 this time.
Well, you've been hitting 1:30 for the last 2 weeks, so
you reckon?
So yeah,
this one looks a bit longer on my notes. So I'll say 1:45. Clacks in me at 1:45 if I don't get it done.
Right.
Ready? 1,
2, 3, go.
So, episode 7, The Universe is Different. We open on a monologue from LJ about self-involvement and the universe is different. The universe has a different idea, sorry. Harvey is worried about Leighton and he wants to come clean. Miles is announced as engineer bait and Terry is called in about missing Chronol. Be careful, Josie. And Andre Leighton? Andre Leighton? Yeah, that's it. Okay. Ruth is on a day off somehow, but a sleazy jackboot Mr. Nolan wants to ruin that for her. Jinju suspects Till. Miles is sick on the train, but they're all ready for COVID. But for some reason, Bennett doesn't know what those straps do on the side of his mask. Ruth turns up at the Sea Life Centre dressed as a snake, and her date, Nolan, looks like an iguana mated with a chicken skin handbag. But it's a romantic ambush, and the Foglers turn up. First Class have a bowling alley. Melanie threatens Zara to get to Josie. Josie gets hammered, but Till doesn't like it. Terry doesn't like maths. Ruth tries to warn Melanie. Melanie and Josie are just chilling in her office, and Leighton rages in the shadows, and then it's time for LJ's experience. That's me. What was that?
110.
Fucking hell, hey! There we go.
Well, I'm guessing it's 110 because for whatever reason my phone decided to go doolally. So I think it was about 10 seconds by the time it actually started going. So yeah, it says 56 seconds here, so I'm guessing it's about...
Jeez, I stumbled there as well. All right then.
I love the description of Nolan.
He does, doesn't he? What the fuck is that? I noticed his hair looks weird before because everything's shaved and he's got that, like, he should just get rid of the rest of it. Like, you've got your bald, mate. That's his thing.
Embrace it.
But yeah, there was that side vision of him where his face seems to have been extended. He doesn't look human, the little fucker. He looks...
Hey, if I met him in a dark alley, though, I'd piss myself and run away.
Oh, I mean, I don't want him to hear this.
We love you.
Aye. And I'm not beautiful. I mean, we're all beautiful. But,
yeah.
but aesthetically, I look like this.
Billy does not speak for both of us, Mr. Actor Nolan person. You look like a very tall man who can handle yourself.
He does, actually. He's quite a scary bloke, to be fair.
Yeah.
He was in I liked him in Sons of Anarchy as well. He was head of the IRA in Sons of Anarchy. Yes, anyway, so what did you think of this episode, Sean?
Sorry, I'm taking a drink. It is picking up. Things are happening. I did not like the ending.
No. I did like the ending up until the ending. When Leighton was raging in that dark room, I'm like, oh, oh, mate, I can feel that. But then when it's like, LJ, it's time for your experience, and she goes in, and Leighton just comes out of the shadows. I'm like, finish her! But no, he didn't. He was like, do you want to know a secret? I'm like, no, Leighton!
No, what are you doing? Your perfect opportunity to get rid of that little git.
Aye.
But Josie,
I know. Oh, that finger. And then I didn't realise till the second time through that she got Till to freeze her hand. I must have looked away the first time or something.
Oh my God! She was like, "I want you to do something for me," or whatever she says, and she whispers. And then Melanie's like, "What's happened to your hand?" I'm like, "What happened to her hand?" And she just yanks it out, and then, oh man,
no more hand. The problem for me that the prosthetic that covers up a hand is quite bad, because clearly all she's done is that, and you can still see her wrist move when she's got a hold of Melanie around her neck.
Yeah. She's put. You said that
again, listener. You can't see. I've put my fist in my sleeve, and I'm bending my wrist to show what's happening. Right, yeah.
But for Till doing that as well, though.
Oh no, that's what gets Till completely all the way in. I think, though, isn't it? She's like, I've picked a side.
She's rapidly becoming my favourite character.
Yeah, she's really really good.
Because the first episode or two, I was like, I don't like her. Like I didn't like anybody in the first two episodes, but she's rapidly becoming my favourite character. But yeah, because like so much happens in this episode.
Aye, they just rattle things off. It's like the me. It's like they can't stop rattling things off and talking sort of thing, and everything just spews out of them. They tell you too much story.
But again, though, it's like it technically for any other show, it probably could be too much story. But they do it in a way that's it's digestible. It's like they're not saying like, here, have some more. They're like, this is what you need. You need to know all this, but we're going to do it in chunks which is manageable, and you get what's happening. And again, because I think it's because we watch it in 2 episodes each week. But it seems like those 2 episodes are meant to be watched as one every week.
Yeah, they were released as individual episodes. I remember watching it first time through, and it was all individual ones. But they do seem to work really well as little couplets, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
I can't believe that. I don't understand what was going on with that guy in Ruth. Like, was he actually interested in her romantically? Because it felt really weird. He felt really creepy.
He did. And again, I don't know if like...
Again, don't come and find us, mate.
Watch this, he's going to be the first actor who gets in touch.
And that. Him and Tommy Lee Jones. Fuck!
if we want listeners, we're not going the right way.
I think he's a brilliant actor, though.
Oh, he's really good. He is. But he comes across creepy, he comes across scary. He's meant to. But at points he did seem sincere when him and Ruth are at the little dining bit, and then the frickin' Folgers twatty couple walking, like, oh, what do they want?
I know.
And then you realise he's in their pocket.
And I think it's kind of ruined it, because I was almost coming out that I thought, well, Ruth is sort of bearing a soul here, you know.
Yeah.
You get that little thing about why she's so grateful to Wilford, and why, because he sort of rescued her from a B&B and saved her life. Now she's aboard Snowpiercer.
And it almost makes you feel sorry for her. And I say almost because, again, Ruth, you're not very likeable. This episode, she turns it around.
Well, this is the episode I was talking about, I think, this and the next one. So.
We're jumping. I'm jumping ahead, and basically, spoiler, she goes back into her old ways.
Yeah.
But I was in this episode, I was thinking, I'm feeling for her. Yeah, she's got a day off for some reason, somehow. And then she's opening up to him. She's like, oh, it's a long time since I've been on a date, and you know, you sense the real Ruth coming out, not this company person like you've been describing her. And it's like the real Ruth's coming out, and she's vulnerable, and you know, and then he seems legit.
He does, I think, but I think it's more that he has a respect for her and he trusts her because they want to replace her as Queen of the Train. I think basically is what he's after, isn't it? It's a shame.
And then when the Folgers walk in, I remembered, they had a talk with him a couple episodes before, didn't they?
Aye, they were trying to overthrow Melanie. And the way they approach it as well, saying like, if they can get third into the trial, then we can get rid of her. Why can't we all have her?
Yeah, and then, again, I don't know what we do. I do this every week, but I don't know if it's this episode or the next one. But how the Mrs. Folger's all like it. She wants to be in charge, but she's getting the right people on her side, and that kind of comes out. And I expected that in this episode. Like, yeah, she's feeding all this to Ruth, and Nolan's there as like the muscle, but she wants to be Queen Bee.
I think you kind of I think you kind of picked up on something there. Like she does think she's in charge. It's just vicariously through the actual people who run the train. She doesn't want to do the actual work. She just wants to be. She wants to be the queen, basically, and then have a president of the train that's working for her or something, that sort of thing.
Yeah, she wants to be the figurehead. She wants to be the poster for it.
And a bit more nuance with Melanie. I mean, she's sick after she. I mean, she's fucking evil in this one, but she is sick, so she's struggling to literally stomach it. Like she can't stomach what she's having to do, and it's like. How much of this is the pressure that's been put on her, and how much of it, and her not wanting to lose control over all this, and how much of it is genuine malice that she has?
And it's the roller coaster that is Melanie. One part of an episode, she's the greatest. Yes, she's the champion. We're rallied behind her. 2 minutes later, you want her to die. and this, she goes full dark. She goes all the way dark. And again, she wants... It's weird because, again, coming up with kind of what happens in later episodes, you get it. So obviously, but in this episode, all we know is she just does not want the truth getting out.
I mean, she was going to kill Josie anyway, wasn't she?
Yeah.
But I kind of got the feeling that she might not have killed her if Josie hadn't turned on her with a hand and trying to strangle her and stuff like that. I feel like a hand was sort of forced.
Yeah, it's like she might have just tortured her a bit more. Maybe locked her in a drawer to get rid of her. But yeah, it's like then Josie's like, no, I'm sticking up for myself here. We're going to win. But it's like Melanie knows what she's doing is wrong. She knows she's not making the right choices. But her end goal is kind of. It's the right goal. She's just not going about it the right way. Keep them on
track, isn't it? Pardon the pun.
Hey. And I don't believe I never mentioned this in WandaVision, but it's the same way with Hayward, like director Hayward. What he says throughout a lot of that series is true. It's real. Like Wanda's a threat. He just doesn't go about it the right way. He's a bit of a dick.
But a sentient weapon is dangerous. Like with Vision as well, like a sentient weapon is dangerous. And you're right. Like I've actually put that as a note. I think I remember putting it for the end of the next episode is, can no one see that Melanie might be right? We'll get to that. But you're right. It's like, and we see this in society all the time. Again, I'll draw the comparison to our society. I don't think the way they go about debating things in government is the best thing to do, because a lot of it is about political point scoring. That's a problem. Yeah. But democracy's the best idea we've got to go on. So far, like you would have to restructure everything to get rid of that. And what you're going to get rid of it with. Exactly. And I think like what you're saying about Melanie is like, she's sort of right. Like, it's a bad thing that they're all worshipping Wilford. Why don't they just worship her? She's actually in charge of the train. She's the one that's kept them alive all this time. Wilford had the idea. Yeah,
it's kind of like they're too deep now.
Yeah,
it's like maybe we'll keep the morale up for a couple of maybe a little bit, and then before they know it, they're too deep.
But I mean, Harvey's sort of saying that as well. The train driver, the other engineer, he's sort of like, look, let's just open the door, let them in, show them that Wilford's not here, and then we can explain. What's it really going to change? Because, just tell them Wilford's not in charge. I am, but he's never been on this train anyway. So,
yeah, you like the way it's been so far.
That was me. Yeah, ta-da! I think they actually used the wizard behind the curtain analogy that you used last week.
Yes.
So you preempted that pretty well.
Hey, I'm all right with my preempting on Snowpiercer. I think I'll be doing
I'm really quick, and Sean comes early.
You hear that, ladies?
It's a damn good job we're in lockdown.
Oh man, but honestly, it's another episode. They're 7 for 7 now.
Yeah,
I'm waiting for the bad episode. I don't know if I'm going to get one, and I'm happy. And
you were saying about Leighton as well. You didn't like the end. What was that for?
No, it's what I didn't like. I didn't like the end. Was basically what happened to Josie.
All right.
And I didn't like. I just didn't like the fact that you had an opportunity to get rid of LJ. And it just what are you doing, you idiot?
It shows Leighton's intelligence though, doesn't it? You've got two sides of Leighton there, and they've juxtaposed absolutely perfectly. There's the rage inside of him that was screaming in that black room, and then there's the level-headed Leighton, who is going to lead these guys to victory, and he's got both sides to him.
Yeah, and again, it's like, I'll be like, you've got the perfect opportunity to get rid of this cycle, because this lass she's not wired right. She's dangerous, but he knows she has a benefit. He can use her for the cause. She offers certain things basically, which we'll get into in the next one. But yeah, honestly, it was just like Josie. I was so gutted.
And what it means for Miles as well.
Yeah. That's the next episode.
People are starting to get suspicious. It's when Melanie absolutely sort of rips into Ruth as well.
Yeah.
Ruth's like, they're trying to overthrow you, Melanie. Melanie, I've got something to tell you about the folders. She's like,
yeah.
And she just rips into her, and it's like, well, that's your chance gone then, isn't it, Melanie?
Well, I was thinking that as well, because I was like, yes, someone needs to speak to her like that. But I said, oh no, wait, Ruth's on the good side at the minute.
Yeah.
Crap.
Ruth loyalty's coming out like shit.
Yeah. I was like, no, listen to Ruth. What am I saying? Why am I on Ruth's side? I don't like her.
Every week we've just been saying, fuck you, Ruth, but now it's like, oh, no, Ruth's got a point.
No, but again, that's I say this, like, I think I've said it every week about Snowpiercer. It's just good writing. Because there's a time, the character that we've been saying, we've been saying, fuck you, Ruth, every week. And that character is the one that she could have just put this. I mean, it would have ended the series a bit early, but if Melanie had listened to her, things would have been so different. If that one moment you would have listened to the most hated, annoying character, and then that made Ruth go full Ruth. She was like, "Fine, fuck you. If you're not going to listen to me." You've dug your own grave there.
I did like that, the sort of the future telling thing of this, because this came out like last year, and then like what do we do when a child's sick? Yeah. Everyone gets a mask. Yeah. Bennett's just stood there holding it and then taking it off to speak. It's like, come on, Bennett, we know better than this now.
It was one of those things, like, I was just sitting there watching it, and then they all started putting their masks on. I'm like, I've got a box of them sitting right there.
Sanitize your hands first.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my god, they're telling the future. But you're right about, like, they're all sitting there wearing it, and Bennett's just like holding it on, taking it off the top. It's like, I've saw that person.
That guy. Everyone's got a Bennett.
And what got me though, it was a bit of it's not really a negative, it's maybe it should be a bit of a nitpick, but after cause is there more than one? Because I love how, like, all this horrible stuff and all these interrogations and lots of drama happens in a room with hospitality written across the front of it. Nothing hospitality like happens in this room.
Right enough, are you?
Is there more than one hospitality room? Because she goes back into that room, but it was frozen. Like, were they able to defrost it?
Well, they must have done, because they get her out and they take Josie to compost, don't they? So they said take her away to compost, so they must have, been able to put a switch on the outside or something to switch that hose off and
turn the heating on.
Turn the heating on. Thaw that out and then get Josie away to compost. That is the only hospitality room that I remember, because that's where she's got a podcast booth in there as well.
Yeah. So, but I love how, like, because every time you go into that room, it's either the podcast broadcast or interrogations or nasty words are said in nasty, because I think that's where again it's the next like
next
there's a discussion with Melanie and Ruth
in there
and it's a very heated discussion. But
next episode
we'll probably better, because I'm running out.
We can go through and talk about it. I'll run through the rapid refresh and then we can just talk about all of it, can't we? That'll be fine.
Yeah, definitely. So hold on, I'll make sure my timer's working into my phone just froze.
Let's go for a minute 15 this time then.
Right. You ready? 1, 2, 3, rapid refresh.
So episode 8, These Are His Revolutions. Monologue comes from Ruth this time, and it's about delusions of Wilford and the gratitude of the passengers, or lack thereof. Miles has a play date with LJ, and it was Melanie all along. Bess puts Jinju in her place, and there's 2 rebellions going off. One first against Melanie, and third and the tail against everyone else. First confront Melanie, and the plan is kicked off at the back end of the trail. It's a mutiny against Melanie. Harvey tries to be upfront but Bennett throws him to the dogs. Ruth has a crisis of faith and now wants revenge. Leighton, brackets Jesus, returns from the dead to lead his people up train. Strong boy in the draw, tra-la-la-la-la. There's a strong boy in the draw, tra-la-la-la-la. And then Osweiler raises the alarm about the uprising. Ruth and Melanie have a heart-to-heart, and then a confession, possibly. Parley with the brakeman, and then there's a Jack boot in a box. And there's a bit of attack, retreat. There's a Big John sacrifice. The tail won the battle, but not the war. And how did Peg get out of the drawers? Piece of cake. How long was that, given that I stopped to sing halfway through it?
Oh man, I laughed all the way through that. 109.
109. I even embellished slightly as well in that one.
Oh, the strong boy.
I didn't notice the Jack boot in a box until the second run through. I was like, that's a Jack in a box.
Oh, bloody hell.
Cut off his head, don't they?
Yeah, that was a good one.
You enjoy that?
Oh.
I had a bit of fun with that. That was good.
Oh, jeez, that was a good one. Yeah. If it was because that strong boy, man. Because the last Aussie, he says something, doesn't he? At one point, he goes like,
"Truth." He says,
"Yeah,
truth a lot."
But he says something like he's gone Chinese.
I speak in Mandarin when he comes out the door. Like, what's that?
Yeah.
Is that a thing? What happens to you in the drawers? Like, does he not speak Mandarin? This guy doesn't speak.
Doesn't speak. So I'm thinking he used to speak, or maybe he was adopted and brought up in China or something.
Maybe, right enough. I didn't put that together because Leighton had his fever dream when he was in there as well, didn't he? So, yeah.
This episode, I think I said a couple of, like, maybe 2 weeks ago that one of them was my favourite episode. So far, this one's my favourite episode.
I think I might have said this on the podcast before or not, but I'm like a toddler. Whatever's just happened is my favourite thing. What's your favourite thing? This one? this thing that's happening now. This ball.
But there's again like so much in this one. Like I was going to say about the whole with LJ going up to the thing, because that's one thing I was like, why are you not getting rid of LJ Leighton at the end of the previous episode?
Because he's
using someone to his advantage. Yeah, he needs it, and it's just like
Leighton.
But what happened when she went into the engine room?
She's just playing, isn't she? She's playing with people, and she sneaks up behind Harvey to see how close she can get to him. She loves the danger.
But then she looks scared for a second, and she like freezes, and she looks panicked. But then she looks elated, and it's like a relief. It's like pleasure.
Yeah.
And she's
it's the fear thing, isn't it? That's why does anyone do anything? Why do people jump out of planes or anything like that? There is a bit of fear. There's exhilaration, but then fear is still fear, and you still feel it and know it and stuff like that. But that's what she's trying to do. She's trying to get that, isn't she?
There's the discussion with Melanie and Miles.
Yeah.
When he's talking about her daughter.
Yeah.
And then how he's on about, I lost my family, but now I've got
my train mommy.
My train mum. And you can tell, like, the regret in her face, and, like, she's like, balls.
I'm such a terrible person. Am I the new Ruth?
No one wants to be the new Ruth. But
again, in one scene, you get, it's a shame for Melanie. That's sympathy for her.
Yeah.
And then, no, she's terrible.
Honestly, they've written her so well.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what to do with her.
But she is just a nuanced human, isn't she? We've all got light and dark. Maybe not quite as dark. Yeah, it's like her dark is dark. Let's just hope she can show some light. But much like Leighton uses LJ and things like that. She's spent the last 7 years, I think it is, to be on this train, using various different peoples and processes and techniques to maintain what she needs to maintain. So she's taking people's arms off to maintain order at the back end of the train. She's done all these things, but she's willing. I mean, she's better than Wilford. She says that here. Wilford wanted to mess around with whores and get drunk and just live out his life on this train, lap of luxury sort of thing. He sold tickets for that. She's like, I wanted to be true to the train sort of thing.
And she said something like it wouldn't have lasted a year with him in charge. And one thing I appreciated in this one, because you know me, for people who've been listening since the start, I don't find any shades of grey with the first class passengers at all. They're all twats. But in this episode, you can tell people are clicking on when they bring Melanie and they're like, right, we've got proof. Wilford's not here. What's the crack? You've been in charge. We need to know what's happening. And like, well, where's your proof? Elja's like, got the photo.
Yeah.
But before she says that, she's like, why do you trust her? And one of the first class passengers is like, yeah, exactly. She's a psycho.
I was going to ask you about that. I was like, well
done, Mr. First Class.
When I watched that bit, I was like, Sean's going to love this because there's nuance in first class.
That's all I've asked for.
Yeah.
A bit of nuance in first class, and I've got it. Because that's the thing. Finally, some of the first class people are like, no, we shouldn't trust her. Turns out that she's right.
Yeah.
And the first time they bring it up, unfortunately, you're wrong. You should have maybe trusted her on this one.
But then also, like at the end of this episode for me, Melanie's been mutinied against for 2.5 hours maybe total, and everything's gone to shit. And it's because you were all played into mutinying against Melanie.
Yeah.
So do you maybe think that was a bad idea? Melanie's right. Melanie was right all along.
There's just so much in this. And like the plan coming into action about, the uprising.
I love how that plan works, because you don't see it all. You don't see the strings until it all starts clicking into place. It's like, all right, okay, well, they've announced that up there to get all the jackboots up there because it's all kicked off in first. And all the jackboots are gone. It's not until Osweiler raises the alarm and recognises that tailor. He's like, oh, she's a tailor.
Fucking Osweiler.
Fucking him again, that bastard. He needs to... But again, with him, you get a bit of nuance to him this time as well. They go for that parlay with the brakeman. I don't know why they're called brakemen. Or jackboots, for that matter.
Yeah, I don't know. I know, because I think a brakeman is an actual position on a train.
Right, okay.
I could be totally wrong.
So they go for that parley with him, and Osweiler's like, fuck this. He's the one that raised the alarm. He's like, I'm not staying here. And there's that line from Roche as well, who says, good thing you've been so nice to them all these years, and isn't it, Oz?
Yeah. Yeah. Again, I'm liking Roche. He's a character that's like grown on me. But again, he's just doing his job.
Aye. And again, he says something weird. He's like, now I'm going to have to go home and tell my wife there's no Wilford. It's like...
It just proves what hold this, up until now, this mythical character has on everybody.
This god.
He's a god.
He's a god, because he says it like, oh, no, you could replace Wilford with God there. Oh, what, now I'm going to have to go home and tell my wife there's no God?
Yeah, it's like if someone was to be able to prove one way or another about a deity, for those who don't believe, I'm not going to have to go and tell my wife that there is one.
But similarly here, no one has any proof. They're all just believing one way or the other, like you say. So there still is no proof that Wilford either is alive or dead. He's Schrodinger's train engineer.
Schrodinger's Wilford. But Osweiler in that bit, though, it's just, it just proves, like, there's a bit of nuance to it, but he's a dick. He's just a wimp. He's like... Because he says, this uniform's not going to protect me, I'm off. And he's like, and he said, oh, do your job, and he just pisses off.
I also thought, they see Tailies running up a really narrow corridor to start off with, and they've chosen to try and stop them in this wide bit. I'm like, stop them in that corridor. They're all running up this really narrow corridor. That's an easy place to stop people.
We're led to believe, obviously, each class has the sort of good sides and the bad sides, but we're meant to be on the Tailies side here, Tailies in third. We're on their side. They're fighting against, like, basically the oppression of the upper classes.
Fascists.
Yeah, but the weapon they killed with that fucking
spear cannon. Yes. Now that's brutal again, like you were saying. Like, I think all of the violence stands out, even though it is all the time.
I mean, some of the blood spatters were very dodgy CGI.
Aye.
But honestly, when those spears are flying, it's like they're the good guys, but this weapon is pure evil. It's like you'd expect the jackboots to have that and like firing at other tails.
I think I mentioned this really early on, like back in when we were talking about the first episodes, because now we're just in the meat of it and we're excited about that. But the actual like sort of costume sets and all that design, prop design, is amazing in this.
Yeah.
I mean, it might be better than Batman and Robin.
Oh, yeah.
But that spear cannon looks rough and ready, and it looks made by Tailies, doesn't it?
Yeah, you can tell it's homemade. Yeah,
it's made from the cages that keep the Tailies in.
Yeah, you can tell it's made out of necessity. But it's a vicious weapon. Because again, it kind of shows a bit of Nolan's character, because he's like, well, what we're going to do is you guys are going to keep going. I'm going to go the other way. And it's just like, you're not doing that out of tactic. You're doing that because you're shitting yourself with that spear cannon.
Bad general, this guy, isn't he? Like a good general, leads from the front, but absolutely not with this guy. So there is a bit, but I suppose like it's not really cowardice, is it? Because I would be that guy. I'm going to just go back up. We're the last surviving remnants of humanity. Just let these guys up. We'll sort it out in first.
But part of it's kind of like maybe the argument could be made that he is the leader. He's the general one way or another. So maybe he has to keep leading the fight. So
he should.
Maybe so, but part of it, you could just tell like, wait a minute. Tell you what, you guys keep going. I'm going to go that way where they don't have a spear cannon.
That said, though, if someone said to me, do you want to be general in the army of jackboots aboard this train? Or do you want to die in the frozen tundra? I'd be like, yeah, I'll take that job just now. Yeah, that'll be fine. Whatever. And you get on the train, you're like, shit, what if there's a war?
Yeah, no argument from me until they whip out a spear cannon.
I mean, it took me ages to realise that was Pike eating the cake as well. Because I remembered seeing the guy, but I sort of forgot who Pike was. Because he's only in like episode 1, and then he's like, get the drawers.
I remember hating him in episode 1.
Yeah.
He was the guy I was on about, like the tail. He was like, "What you being a dick for? You're going about it the wrong way again. You're not listening."
And Leighton saved him as well. Leighton like sort of saved his life in the drawers, and now he's out.
I knew as soon as when they opened his drawer, he wasn't as this guy. Here we go.
And he's worse than Ruth now, because he's not he's no longer one tail guy, is he? Because like he's now saying to them, just keep going. Leighton will back down. So he's basically saying, kill all the tailies that I used to be part of. Like, he's a terrible bloke. And like, as much as like Melanie didn't have the stomach for it last time, does it look like Leighton has a stomach for this? Because it seems to be getting to him now. Yeah,
like straight away, he's like, oh shit. But what I did love his like rally the troop speech.
Yes, aye.
Normally when you see these speeches, it'll be building up. So they'll be like, we've got to do this. It's for this. And it goes, oh, and there's passion. But he just straight off passion.
Aye.
It's like, we're not messing around anymore. This is it.
We're going to do this. Not one train.
And then
not one tail. Well, that catches on quick, didn't it? One train.
Because the guy shouts, one tail. He's like, no. Fuck no.
One train.
It's one train now.
Except it's half of a train against another half of a train.
Yeah. But that's the thing as well that got me, because it's just like how people are blind to their sort of factions, which again, it's kind of the same in real life. You've got one political view. You might not want to admit it if you hear another political view that might make a bit more sense. You want to stick to your political views, which is life, unfortunately. But then in this one, it's when, before Osweiler pisses off, he's like, hear them, they're just going to wreck the place. Can you hear them? But what they're saying is they're literally saying one train.
Yeah.
That's what they're chanting in the background, one train. But all Osweiler sees is the tailies are on the uprising, they're going to kill us all, they want to take over, they're trying it for themselves. But that's literally not what they're saying, Osweiler.
Well, I suppose that's the nature of prejudice, isn't it? You've just sort of touched on two things, like confirmation bias and nature of prejudice. We all have confirmation bias.
Yeah.
We all want to hear people agreeing with the views that we already hold, and we all want to take on information based on the views that we already hold, because it's more comfortable. And, we all have some sort of prejudice, and we'll miss what people are saying and can't see the wood for the trees, like you said. So it's perfect, like you say, writing's brilliant here, because it's just weaving in human traits and stuff.
Yeah.
But it is brutal, this one, as well, isn't it? Like we were saying, that spear cannon. But then also when they're in the night car, the fight. There's
some, like, from video game terms, there's some kills on that. Like, there's some
and you think they've won, and then it's smoke bombs. But what's going to happen to you? Because I'm trying to think. Because I can't remember it. I'm re-remembering things as I go through. But I'm trying to think what's going to happen up train. What's going to happen with Melanie? How's that going to change the top? And why wouldn't they just sort of look at restructuring the entire train to incorporate the tail? Half of the people are dead now. So you've got enough resources.
Yeah, there's a few beds freed up now.
One thing I thought as well is, like, where they're sitting at the front of the train in the engineer's room, it doesn't look like a Snowpiercer, because the engineer's cabin, the driver's really high up, because they've got the plough on the front.
Yeah.
Because it's a Snowpiercer. It looks like it's lower down. It's closer to the track.
Yeah.
That's just me.
Now that you've said that, because I always took the idea of, like, it's called Snowpiercer because, it's a frozen planet now, and it keeps going around.
Yeah, it's a Snowpiercer. They've got one of those at Glenfinnan Viaduct. If you go to, in Glenfinnan train station, if you go to Glenfinnan Viaduct, which is the one in the Harry Potter films, and they've got a Snowpiercer, like it's an actual type of train that pierces snow so trains can get through.
Yeah.
So Miles is now an engineer as well.
He seems to be settling in quite well, doesn't he?
He does, yeah. I mean, and was it just bait? Clearly not, because Melanie's getting on with him, and she's like, I'll just adopt you now because I've killed your mum.
Yeah. Because that's the thing, like, she seems to be, she's always got a thing where it's like, when she says to Javi, it's your train now. She drops that line to Miles, or she says something kind of similar to Miles. You
have the train.
But because she says something to her, like, I'm going to go, when she goes down to get interrogated by the rest of first class, she pretty much says, just keep a lookout, Javi's there if you need him. So she does, like, she trusts them, she knows.
The thing I thought with Melanie, when she's saying, all Wilford wanted to do was party in the night car and get the whores and get drunk all the time, have a really good life. If people know Mr. Wilford, why don't they know that's the type of guy he would be, and he would be down train all the time, fucking people in the night car?
Yeah, good point. So they obviously
Clearly,
don't
no
know the real
one
He's
knew him.
obviously-
No, like because for the way Melanie tells it, she just executed him at trackside before everyone aboard, everyone on, right? Okay, poof, good night, and then fucks off on the train.
But doesn't, like, because when they question Ruth about it, when the Folgers and all that kind of question her before they tell her the truth, because she says to Nolan, "You met him on the bridge,
Yeah.
or the engine room, however they describe it. You shook his hand." He goes, "Yeah, that was on the first day."
Yeah, aye.
So clearly he was ready to go before they took off.
Aye.
So she's got rid of him somehow, like very sneakily.
Yeah, she's
like, how did nobody
so
know?
it sounds like she has got rid of him. So I was saying, like, it depends. How I feel about Melanie depends on whether Wilford's just left her in the shit or whether she's taken it by force and killed him. And clearly she's got rid of him anyway. You know, she's got him off the train, she's killed him.
Yeah.
I mean,
but how did no one notice?
Yeah, I know.
Unless it was just Bennett and Harvey.
Aye.
That's why.
Maybe they've got a little side door that they just chuck dead people out there. Maybe they pass him every year. Oh, every revolution. I don't know how long a revolution takes.
Yeah, there we go. That's where he is.
That's Mr. Wilford. There we go. See you later, mate. That was brutal as well with Joe, where what was his name, Zara.
She's the one that double crosses Josie.
Yeah, but to save Leighton's child.
To save Leighton's child.
That could be interesting in the future, couldn't it? Like, when Leighton finds that out, it's like, oh, well, any one of the tailies could tell Leighton, "Oh, Zara double-crossed you, by the way. She's the reason why Josie's dead." And that would send him off on one, but not realising that he just still doesn't know she's pregnant.
No, he doesn't. No.
No, he hasn't seen her since. She's just like, oh, looking after this baby. And then Melanie's like, it's a privilege, not a right. Ooh.
Yeah. One thing I will say before we go on to the next section, I cannot wait for the next 2 episodes, the final 2 episodes.
Yeah, you can't wait, can you?
Building up. I can't wait. I wish I'd already watched it. Yeah, well, I'll be honest, I've watched them. I carried on. I had to go to the
I
end.
was really tempted the other night and I started watching something else just because I couldn't go on any further. I should have started watching them again.
Yeah, but it doesn't bother me. I can't wait to watch them again. Let's crack on.
Next section. All right, the best of the worst. This is where we take a film and it's spoilers right from the off. So if you haven't seen this film, then go away and watch it, or don't.
Don't watch it.
I love this film. So the idea behind this is we go through films that are generally panned or thought of as the worst films, and we try and find some of the good in them. This week was my idea because I thought maybe mutants would tie into WandaVision. It didn't, but I still want to watch this film anyway. So this is one that I've forced Sean to watch. Sometimes Sean forces me to watch a thing. Sometimes I force Sean to watch a thing. And this is mine because I couldn't see the bad in it. I can now that I've tried to pick it apart. But I've loved this film. I've rewatched it loads since it came out, and it's X-Men Origins Cuckoo. No, it's not. It's X-Men Origins Wolverine. And this was to be the start of a massive franchise. I mean, the sequel to this was meant to be Magneto, X-Men Origins Magneto, which became. So is this your trivia?
No.
which became X-Men First Class.
Yeah.
You know,
I think there was going to be a Rogue as well, was there not? I think there was going to be...
Yeah, there was going to be a Rogue. I think they were probably going to do Dark Phoenix again, because they just keep doing that. So I thought this was the worst rated and worst reviewed X-Men film. And it was for a good while. But then I forgot Dark Phoenix came out as well.
I've never seen that. Because, well, I'm going to watch it, because I want to watch them all.
No, I watched it, so you don't have to.
This is the first time I've watched this.
Okay.
Because I love the X-Men films. I've even got a soft spot for The Last Stand.
I like The Last Stand. It was the only X-Men film I owned for about 2 years whilst I was working abroad. And I used to watch it because it was the only X-Men film I had. The other was better.
Yeah, but like for this, I was like, oh yeah, they're going to do a Wolverine film on its own. And then I heard things and I saw the trailer and it never interested me.
Right.
And so it didn't interest me. The only standalone Wolverine film I've watched is Logan.
Right.
So
okay.
I'm happy with my choice.
I like all of them. I like all the standalone Wolverine films. And actually, the praise that Logan got, I didn't think it was that much better than this or the other Wolverine film.
Oh, I think
that could be controversial.
Yes. Everyone's entitled to an opinion.
I will say...
Even that one.
Even that one, which is wrong. But the third act in this and the next Wolverine film in this series is total dog shit. Like, I will die on the hill defending the first 2 acts of this film, and I may have to die during the course of this conversation. Yeah, well. But the third act in this film is total dog shit.
How I would sum up this film is, for me personally, great ideas in the hands of the wrong people.
Right, okay.
Executed poorly. some of the action sequences, the action sort of setups, great.
I've got that as a positive as well. Yeah, I think some of the action's great. That motorbike chase and jumps into the helicopter and stuff.
Brilliant, but pointless.
Yep.
Like brilliant, but why? Only because it looks good. That's all that was there for. Because if he forgets that motorbikes have a brake and he uses his claws, and the only possible explanation is because it looks cool.
I love that though. I've got a massive blind spot for this film. Like, it really is, because even on watching it through and trying to be critical, well, to be fair, I wasn't trying to be critical. I was trying to pull out the good stuff that I liked in it.
Yeah.
And I have no problem doing that, because I do really like this film. It's odd. It's a really silly thing.
It's just, to me, like, straight from the off, there was a bit of cheese. How it's like the whole goes back into the 18 whatever it is, and he's like, the man's like, oh, he's not your father. Pause, son. And I'm like, oh, is this what we're going to have to deal with for the next hour and a bit, whatever it is?
I loved that setup. Like, I thought, like, the bone claws and the montage running through time. Well, brilliant. Oh, sorry, on you.
That was amazing. I loved that bit. Personally, I'd have liked to have seen that film.
Right, okay.
Like, the opening credits going through all the wars, I would have liked to have seen that as the film. That's what I would have liked to have seen.
Because the next one, I think, starts off with him surviving Hiroshima as well.
Right.
Or Hiroshima, however you pronounce it. I'm not entirely sure how you're supposed to pronounce that. But he like gets underneath the ground whilst the A-bomb goes off, hides in a bin or something, then he comes out and walks around and everyone's dead. But it's a similar sort of thing. Like, he's carved his way through this war-torn past and that, and you love history, so absolutely that would be great for you, wouldn't it?
Oh, definitely. And I've got here as well, I just jumped up. My notes have went all over the place. So I've got in the first, I think it's the first 30 minutes, where have I written it? Yeah, the first 30 minutes, you've got 3 long shouty, like, in the first half an hour, there's 3 of them. And it's just, you don't why.
See, I think the pacing's amazing to start. Like, it really rattles through the story, and you're like, right, here's all your setup. It's like, fuck me, we've got a lot of information here, because you've gone from his origins with his bone claws as a kid, the relationship between him and his brother, that relationship building into the team that he works on of X-Men, and then that relationship breaking down completely between all of that team and his brother, and then he goes off on his own, and that's like the first 5 to 7 minutes of the film. Like, even my rapid refresh can't be faster than they made this film.
They could have touched on things a lot longer than they did. I've got that. It's very quick. They don't.
It was written during a writer's strike. Did you know that?
Right. Yeah.
That probably explains a lot.
Yeah. I liked the score during the opening credits.
I've got the score as well. Yeah, I liked all that.
Liked it. The war montages was cool.
Actually, speaking of the score, I looked at what the guy had done, and he's got a good rake of films under his belt.
Yes, I've written
his name is Harry Gregson Williams.
Yes.
He did Deja Vu and Equalizer, so clearly like sort of Tony Scott. He did Man on Fire. He did Kingdom of Heaven. He did Narnia films. He did a film called Score, which I haven't seen, but I did want to see. I remember seeing it coming out, and I just didn't get to see it. But it's a film about music. He did Spy Game. He's got a bunch of good things to his credit.
I've got The Martian.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
The most recent Mulan.
Armageddon.
Yeah, I like the music in Armageddon as well. Shrek, Phone Booth. The Town.
Yeah.
A very unknown, in my opinion, unappreciated Christmas film, Arthur Christmas. I love that film.
Oh, yeah, Arthur Christmas I think is brilliant, yeah, absolutely. Cowboys and Aliens, which is another one that I like and no one else does.
I've never seen it.
I've only seen it once, to be fair, but I remember really liking it. Taking a Pelham 1, 2, 3. Phone Booth. Like, you worked with our man, what's his name? Joel Schumacher on that one, didn't he? Yeah. And Kiefer Sutherland. Right, email in.
You're listening. There is a lot of stuff I like about it, I'll be honest with you. But there's just, the CGI is shit. I don't pretend to be an expert in CGI. In my hat that I never wear, I don't wear hats. My metaphorical hat is off. I tip it to everybody who works on CGI and all that kind of stuff. But
sometimes it's shit.
Yeah, you can't escape it, but it ruins some of the good. Like I said, like this action setups, like what they go for in a lot of the action scenes, I really appreciate. But the CGI, it's when like shitpool, as I'll call him, because I am with everybody on this. Deadpool is not Deadpool in this film.
See, well, I didn't think he was that. I mean, you know, he's called Wade.
Yeah,
and like, I never thought of him as Deadpool. I didn't know Deadpool at this point either, so I don't really care.
Well, I don't, but it's like, whatever he's meant to be, I don't like it either way.
No, I don't either, no.
But
it's way too much in that fucking end credit scene.
I got it. But they do mention Deadpool at some point.
They do mention Deadpool, yeah. You miss it, though. I've seen this film loads of times, and you miss it really quite easily.
It is a blink and you miss, well, cover your ears and you'll miss it type of thing.
And I really enjoyed Dominic Monaghan's performance. I wish she hadn't have killed him.
I've got here, Mary Brandybuck was good.
It was really good. He really sells it. And that line that before he kills him is like, I'm not scared of you, I'm not scared of death. And then Liev Schreiber, another fantastic actor, turns round to him and goes, how would you know? You've never tried it yet. Like, oh, and then his face changes. Dominic Monaghan's performance, his face changes.
Boom, like that.
And the fear, and it's like, oh, you don't need to see anything else. You just see his little claws of a bag lady.
Yeah.
Like his fingernails growing, and then that's all you need to see, because it's around the lamp as well. That's a cool image.
I mean, it goes without saying, right? Hugh Jackman knows Wolverine. Mm-hmm. He's great, and every time he's played him, he's great. But for me, Liev Schreiber stood out in this film. He was great in this film. And I knew, and again, you touched it, I can't remember what they call it, but he said the cuckoo. I knew that was going to translate to mean the Wolverine. There's a lot of that. It's like
Kwekuatsu, it is.
That's it, yeah. But there's a lot of that. It's like the writing. It's like, it's a bit too on the nose. It's like, I'll jump ahead a bit, but the Blob. It's like
the Blob.
He says, "Oh, what?"
Frank the Tank.
But he says something like, "Oh, what? Are you sure, Bob?" He's like, "Did you call me Blob?"
Blob.
No,
Yeah.
no. It's just like, come on.
But like, the thing with that Kwekuatsu thing, when I wrote down when I like the Lonely Moon story, I really liked the telling of that story.
Yeah.
You know, like how and that sort of thing, that was really nice. And it was a nice moment that they had together. That whole setup that he has there, and, you know, he wants to be with his wife, and Wolverine is Canadian in the comic books. So, like, I think that's a better origin than what they did in Han Solo. You know, Solo, the Han Solo. You remember that? That's what I had in my mind. I was like, you know what? Yeah, that is cheesy, but it's better than Solo. Like, do you want to just be called Solo? Okay. So yeah, for the first half hour, sort of pacing I thought was great. I love I like that love story with him and his missus.
Yeah,
you know, that seems really sort of honest, and I didn't like who teases a husband about kissing his, well, not a husband, but who teases a grown ass man about kissing his wife goodbye when she drops him off for work. They're all like, it's like fucking Batman and Robin arguing about kissing last week, wasn't it? Like. Yeah, everyone clearly forgets that his brother is Sabretooth from the first film. Yeah. It's like, oh, did you forget that?
If they want us as an audience to believe it, I know the X-Men films, even though they're all linked, they're not. It's like there's 20 different versions.
They definitely fucked continuity. They did it really quite heavily here. And then in all the films thereafter, it was like, fuck it, who cares?
Because it's like, what happened to him to go from what he is in this film to what he is in the first X-Men film? It's like what happened in his life? It's like he started off as like the most expensive steak on the planet, and then he's got like a $1.99 double cheeseburger from McDonald's. What happened?
I actually like that they kill the characters well. I mean, I didn't want to get rid of Dominic Monaghan because I thought he was great, but I like that to create the threat, they kill characters, and they don't generally tend to do that in comic book films. You know, no one really gets killed, but Liev Schreiber is menacing and mean, and this is scary as hell. And you know, you think he's killed his wife, and you know, you think they've killed that woman. She gets fridged like after 2 lines or whatever. That's a bit of a negative. But, I thought that was a bit of a shame, you know. And I liked the scenes with Maw and Pa Kent.
Yeah. Well, I was genuinely shocked when they died. I was like, whoa, I thought they were a bit too forgiving of this naked man they found in the middle of nowhere who breaking into their barn. And they kind of trust them a bit too easily. But I was generally liking the relationship, the kind of I hated the bit in the bathroom though.
When he slices through the sink,
yeah.
Well, he just turns up with the sink though, he's like
It just felt like it was in a different, even though like this film's a bit all over the place to me, it felt like it wasn't, because again, continuity's all over the shop, but when you do flashbacks, it was in X-Men 2, about him, like when he finds that he's got the claws and he's bleeding. And Rogue asks him in the first X-Men, when they come out, does it hurt? And he says, "Oh, every time."
Yeah.
But in this bit, it's just kind of like, he's like, huh. And when he's putting them together, it's like they're vibrating off each other. And it's just like,
why? What's the sparks for?
Yeah.
I didn't understand that. But
it's not even like he's like whacking them, he's just touching them, they're sparking.
And they really sort of rush. I mean, they do address that because my DVD's got extra features on it again. So they do address that. When the director's talking about when they did the adamantium skeleton thing, they said it had to be different than it was in the other ones because we couldn't spend the time. And we wanted it to be cleaner, and it wanted to be just part of the film that just got through. I mean, because they say he has it grafted to his skeleton. Magneto says in one of the first earlier films, it's grafted to every inch of his skeleton. Now, that doesn't just happen by just plugging a bunch of syringes into you, just injecting it willy-nilly.
Like, that bit looked like, it looked over here, it looked ouch. But it doesn't look nice. I like that. It's a good visual, that.
That Ma and Pa Kent scene, though, the bit of reprieve that you get, it's kind of a nice bit of relief. And it's a sort of human story, isn't it? It's just a human element to that story. Kind of gives you a bit of that, and they just have a nice bit of time. They do that better in Logan, though, don't they? When they stop at that house for Patrick Swayze, Patrick Stewart. Patrick Stewart because he's ill or something, isn't he?
Yeah.
Spoilers for that film.
But again, we've kind of already touched it. But I'll put it again. Logan versus Helicopter. Cool. The only thing is, though, a lot of it, and again, it's like Sabretooth. It's Sabretooth. Yeah, Sabretooth. His like sprinting thing, it just looks like
he's on wires.
And one of the other character, I can't remember the guy's name. It's a guy he kills in the helicopter when he.
Oh yeah, Zero.
He jumps over a fence. He's being lifted over there by the wires.
I sort of don't enjoy characters that mutant ability is that they're good with guns. That's right. Like, I mean, you can train to be good with guns, can't you? So like, it's not really a mutant ability, is it? I suppose it's better than that guy who has like 1-inch spikes coming out of him, or like that rogue who just melts you if she touches you, just don't let her touch you.
Right. And I mean, because I remember when this came out, everybody's sort of like crapping on. Obviously, I've put it written down here. William, he is. Will I am.
Yeah. Bamf, I've got him is because he just bamps all over the place until Liv Schreiber grabs his heart, doesn't he? He's so predictable. Will I Bamf?
But I liked him in this. I thought he was quite good in it. I liked him. His death was brutal.
Yeah, aye. I think he's perfectly sensible as an actor, sort of thing, in this. Not even given that he's not an actor, He did that thing where they got a rapist to come in and do an acting job.
Why are rapists turning up in all these films?
I don't know. Maybe that's a theme. Like, all the worst films have rapists in them.
Yes, maybe that's what it is.
Just to try and be positive, I like Gambit. Taylor Kitsch, I thought he was good as Gambit. Yeah. I like that Wolverine just punches him in the face. I just recreated the punch for Sean here. Like, how dare you? Bang, and a good night. Yeah. But he was good. I mean, he drops him off. Why drop him off? Why not get involved in the fight scene? Why? Where was he? He just opens a door or something, didn't he? He's like, this way, kids.
Yeah. It's like it turns up, is all the action finished? Oh well.
Patrick Swayze at the end? Why is he there?
Yeah, Botoxed up to the hilt looking Patrick.
I know, yeah. And I've written down that. I was like, you've got Charles Xavier coming in your head, because that's what Scott had, wasn't he? It's like, go this way. Yeah. Why? I just know to go this way. I wouldn't trust that guy. Tell me why we're going this way. I just know. Yeah. Tell me that Charles Xavier has just come in your head. Tell me that, and then maybe I'll follow you. Tell me who Charles Xavier is.
I mean, generally, I like the cast pretty much. Like, I think everyone was cast quite well. I mean, I didn't like the characters they used. There was too many there was just too many mutants, so it's try to shoehorn
I really liked. Thing is, I've got on this Ryan Reynolds' commitment to Deadpool.
But I didn't like the bit at the start when they're doing the action bit. He's walking, twirling his stick around. He was clearly didn't have a stick in his hand. He clearly was just doing. Again, nobody can see this. He was clearly just waving his fists like that, and they just CGI'd a bit of a blur, and it made it look like a stick. It didn't even
that
look
slow-mo
like
thing where he's like slicing bullets in half and stuff. You're like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
We're better than this. Well, we're not better than this because this is a really early days comic book film, but we have been better than this. By this point we've done X-Men and X-Men 2. Two really good films. I still really enjoy watching the first couple of acts. It's just the third act that really fucks it for me. Like,
yeah. one thing I didn't like, what annoyed me about it was the big like battle between not Deadpool
Yeah.
and Wolverine and Sabretooth. Like again, that could have been like when he chops his head off and he's falling down and he's spinning around and he's for whatever reason he's got
That's
Cyclops
the second
vision.
decapitation we've had in this episode as well, sure.
Yeah, but he's spinning round, and his spinning round is knocking the builder down. It looked cool, but I think given again, I don't like knocking people, but given maybe more time to do CGI, maybe if the writers hadn't gone on strike, whatever the issues were, that could have looked a lot better. That could have been a lot cooler.
I still don't think you even needed that Weapon 11 thing at all.
No.
Like, I think if he'd ran out of that building and all those kids had ran out and escaped at that time, and Ryan Reynolds had not come back at all, you can end that film there. Or you can just cut to Stryker shooting him in the head. You know, you can just cut to that. You could have cut that out. It doesn't need to be in there at all.
And speaking of Stryker, I think this is a perfect opportunity for this.
John Stewart Corner.
Brian Cox, who played Thingy,
William Stryker.
Yeah, and he was wanting to come back for this.
Really?
He was willing to come back and get de-aging done.
But then look at what de-aging was at that time. I mean, it's got you know, Patrick Swayze looking nothing like Patrick Swayze.
So I think the producers obviously went for, and I can't remember the guy's name who did it, I'm afraid, but he did a good job. I thought he was good in the role.
Yeah, he's perfectly serviceable at that. It wasn't bad.
You kind of already touched on this one, but Ryan Reynolds pretty much said to the guys, "I'm playing this. I'm doing it.
I don't want to do this because it's a shit film, but if Deadpool's going to be on screen, it's me who's doing it." Yeah.
Liev Schreiber was given a muscle suit to wear, kind of like the Blob, basically made out of the same stuff as the Blob suit was made to wear.
Right.
But it made him. He wanted to, because it was done to make him physically on par with Hugh Jackman. But he felt humiliated by the suit.
Okay.
So he asked for the chance to gain real muscle, and Jackman pretty much became his workout buddy.
All right.
And got him into,
I think their chemistry, their relationship and the tension between them and all that on the screen was great. You know, you've got a couple of brilliant actors there doing everything they can with whatever they're given.
And apparently, I never looked this up, but I watched a review for this a while ago, actually. And I remembered it, so I watched it again the other day. Apparently, the actor playing the not Deadpool character at the end isn't even Ryan Reynolds.
Right, yeah. I did hear that. Where the fuck do his swords go? Because Wolverine's claws go into his arm. Like, Wolverine's claws, like, again, listeners, I'm showing Sean my arm here, right? Wolverine's claws retract into his arm, which is problematic for people with wrists anyway. Right? But this Weapon 11 thing has actual swords, which are the length of his arm again. I mean, I don't think I see him bend his arm when the swords are out or when the swords are in, but he wouldn't be able to bend his arm.
Unless it's just like his bones are just growing. It's just like a bone that's like stretching, like Pinocchio's nose.
It's a weird thing. Sorry, you were doing trivia. Do you have any more trivia?
I do. The thing is with this, right? I'll a little peek behind the curtain here. I pretty much just get all the trivia from IMDb. So if it's wrong, don't shoot the messenger. If something's interesting, I'll do look into it a bit and try and have a bit more of a look. But yet another one is Hugh Jackman expressed disappointment in the film, saying that it fell short of his expectations, but aimed to do a better job with the Wolverine. I've never seen the Wolverine, so I don't know if he accomplished that or not.
Well, I'd say they did do a better job with that, but the third act is still bullshit. It's still a problem. The villain in it is better developed, but it's still shit. The villain in it is a robotic samurai, and inside it is an old man. It's just fucking. It's Weapon 11 all over again. It's just total shit. I mean, the actual film looks better. It feels better. It's it's better made film and written and performed and all that sort of thing. But it's a completely different film. The third act is bollocks.
Again, another Hugh Jackman one here. Hugh Jackman gave everybody in the production a lottery ticket every Friday. Just because, but unfortunately nobody won. So,
what a fucking! It's
random thing.
It's better than fucking Jared Leto mailing rats to Margot Robbie and giving used condoms to people and stuff. But
I prefer a lottery ticket.
Aye, I'll take the lottery ticket, please, Jared Leto. You fucking weirdo.
And the blob suit was fitted with a tubing system with ice water to keep the actor, I've not got his first name, but Durand, his second name, to keep him cool.
Yeah.
So he was walking around with that massive fat suit on, but he was cold.
I quite like the fact that they have a little boxing match in that as well, in this Wolverine film. And Wolverine, Hugh Jackman and that Durand guy also star together in Real Steel, the film about boxing robots. Have you seen that?
I haven't, but people keep telling me to watch that.
I quite like it. It's probably shit because as we've seen. I like shit films, but for what it was, I thought it was pretty good.
For the scene where Wolverine's getting infused with the adamantium, Hugh Jackman pretty much spent 2 days entirely underwater. That's how long it took to pretty much get all that stuff. 2 days, the equivalent of 2 days in that little tank.
2 seconds in the film. You think it takes weeks because they say it takes weeks in the other films.
And again, I've not checked the ages on this, but Tyler Mane, who played Sabretooth in the first X-Men film, he wanted to reprise the role in this one, rightfully so. But they went with Liev Schreiber, who's a younger actor, apparently.
He's a better actor as well.
He's better, but I don't know if that's.
Sorry, mate, we got a better person for the job, and no one remembers your performance.
Even though there's a lot of trivia I could have got with this, but unfortunately, none of it's kind of. A lot of it I was reading was kind of well, yeah. And there's a lot of stuff about Ryan Reynolds always wanting to play the role and stuff like that. But the one thing I thought I do have to end this on, just because it annoys me. Partly, I get that actors earn a lot of money. I get it. Because whether you think would they deserve that paycheck or not, there's a lot of money in the industry. It's like football. If there's money in it, you're going to get paid more. It's as simple
you might
as
get
that.
one film though, and that's got to do you the rest of your life. So you might as well get paid.
Yeah. And Hugh Jackman earned a respectable $25 million for this.
It's pretty good, isn't it?
Not bad for a few months.
I'd say this was brilliant if I got paid $25 million for it as well. And he does, he was really sort of promoting it when it came out, and the behind. That's what I'm saying about the behind the scenes stuff. He's like, we really want to do something really interesting with this character. We didn't.
Yeah, I found the name of the guy who played Deadpool at the end. Scott Adkins was the actor, so Ryan Reynolds wasn't even him. And I've just found another bit that I didn't see the other day, so I'll add one more of my trivia, then we can move on. So Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart in this film became the second and third actors to play a comic book character in 4 consecutive movies. The first person to do that was Christopher Reeves in Superman.
It's wild, isn't it, thinking back to those days when people didn't think superhero films could be good, especially studios didn't think that superhero films could be good. And I kind of lament Fox now being owned by Disney, because I did like having different voices coming out. I mean, Marvel have been really good at having different voices, like directors and producers and different people telling the stories and stuff. So they've been really good at that. But I did enjoy, Sony having a stab at one and Fox having a stab at a couple of superhero films. I sort of kind of, maybe, I'm not ready to miss it yet, but I'm worried about the future.
I like the whole shared universe thing, but it does sort of just shrink it at the same time.
I mean, I'm quite happy for DC to carry on doing one-shots. If Joker's anything to go by, just keep doing one-shot films. Make this Batman a one-shot. You do single runs of comics. No one teams up. Clearly, they weren't good at the teaming up thing. That's not your thing. Just do really good films on the road.
Yeah.
Happy with that.
I don't think there should be a sequel to the Joker film.
No.
Part of me would like to know where he goes from here, but I'll be equally as happy if I don't see another one. The next Batman film, it depends on what it is. I wouldn't mind if it's just a nice standalone Batman story, but if it's filmed in a way where you want to know more and it can be good for sequels, then crack on.
Completely forgot that I got this out for this review.
Right, this is going to be the thumbnail when this goes up on YouTube. Take a picture of that and put that
I'll fucking get it on.
I'm not going to tell anybody what it is. This is the thumbnail.
For a Waffle Award, I had a couple of ideas. I was gonna say Ryan Reynolds' commitment to Deadpool. Should maybe get it. Or the Canadian scenery. Yeah. Whoever was the location scout for this film did a really good job, because I really want to go to the Canadian Rockies, if that is indeed where they filmed this.
Yeah.
Because it's where they say it is.
Yeah. Wherever it is, it looks nice. Yeah.
Another thing I've got as well, I'll come out with some negatives, because I've been quite positive, I think, so far, hopefully. But if I was shagging Wolverine, I've thought about this a lot, I'd have a separate bed for sleeping in. Because I'm not ready to get schnicked in the middle of the night if his thing comes out and he's not planning it. I was having a little fever dream. Just get stabbed in the heart. That's you dead. So, yeah.
You have to wait till I took a drink.
So I think maybe we've got the episode title for this one. If I was shagging Wolverine, could be an episode title for this. I think.
Nicked it. I like that word.
I've also got like sort of in my notes that the dialogue is quite bad, and I'd never noticed that before.
Yeah.
And also, everything just happens because the plot requires it to. Nothing is earned.
Yeah.
And that's never bothered me before, and it bothered me this time when I'm really sort of trying to pick it apart. I'm like, yeah, maybe not. I also hated that Stryker just types in...
I'm sorry. I'm still just laughing at this mask. I'm sorry.
Dear listener, I'm wearing a Wolverine mask. I have been the whole time that we've been doing this, and it's set Sean off. It's set Sean off that I'm talking negatively now about a Wolverine film whilst wearing a Wolverine mask. I don't like that William Stryker just types in decapitate into the computer, and then that sort of beams into Ryan Reynolds, but not Ryan Reynolds' head.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Have you got any more negatives?
Quite a few, but I've put my notes on the floor. Yeah, overall, it's just like, the thing that gets me from this is just, it just seemed to be there. Nobody can see this, but it couldn't go past. It's like the ideas were there, but there was just nothing to forward. I can't look at it.
Oh, I really wish I'd remembered to put this on at the start.
I'd have been a bit more settled by now, I think.
Yeah, I think you know, you're not wrong in what you say. It is a wasted opportunity of a film. It could have been better. At the time, I thought it was perfectly fine, but then I'd enjoyed X-Men 3. I have no sort of vested interest in the X-Men. I never really watched the cartoon or read the comics.
I love the cartoon.
Right? So so nothing like that bothers me, even though, you know, I'm wearing comic-accurate Wolverine masks. But, you know, so I never really had that. And I think that probably helped me enjoy this film more at the time. I can see the flaws in it, but I'll still enjoy watching it. It's snippy. It's like an hour and a half. Yeah. You get through it. It's pretty quick. And we'll have to do the other Wolverine films at some point.
So that was this week's best of the worst. There was actually quite a lot of best in there.
Yeah, there was some quite good things. I shall take me Wolverine
Please do. I won't be able to focus for the rest of the fucking thing.
And get ready for the tips section. Get your tips out for the pod. So, get your tips out.
Yes.
So, last week, I always say last week. I know it's 2 weeks ago. It feels like last week. It's so quick these 2 weeks. They just fly around.
They do.
We're like rushing to get everything done for the podcast. But last time we were doing this, Sean gave me a book to read/listen to. Well, it was an audio book to listen to, so that's fine. And I said that Sean should watch Batman Ninja. Previously, we've sort of lined up on things. You know, Sean gave me like a Hades Town musical, and I gave him Vader Down. That rhymed and was sort of about villains. This time, they could not be more disparate, I don't think.
Yeah.
So, Sean, why don't you tell me, whilst I'm wearing my Batman Joker t-shirt, what you thought of Batman Ninja?
Well, the first thing that stood out to me, I was very disappointed that the Warner Brothers logo didn't turn into the bat symbol. I was worried that somebody had spiked my drink. I was thinking, what have I been taking? What a freaking crazy thing this is.
It's bonkers.
Overall, I didn't like it.
No, you shouldn't.
But you can tell it's because, but watching it on Netflix, if anybody watches this, put the subtitles on, just for a bit. Because I had the subtitles on for something else, I can't remember what it was now, and they were just on. And so I just left them. I couldn't be bothered to turn them off. And what my impression was, obviously this is a Japanese-made cartoon, and American cast have done the dubbing, as you do. But I think the American, whoever's like in charge, has just decided, we'll just change the idea of what's happening here. Yeah. We'll change the script completely.
I bet the translation was just terrible and they couldn't make sense of it, so they're like, fuck it, we'll just say things.
Exactly, but from what I can gather is the subtitles, I think, is the exact translation from the Japanese.
It looks like it, yeah.
Yeah. And so, but it's crazy to listen to what's being said and read the complete opposite.
Either way, it's shit, isn't it? Like, either way, it's bonkers.
So there's a few things that stood out to me. There is some positives. I did really like the animation. Like, visually, it's a beautiful artwork. I especially love the bit when, again, spoilers, when they think Joker and Harley have just got a farm set up, and the animation style goes completely different. It's like a different cartoon. And it's almost like watercolor painting.
Yeah, aye.
And it's just
it's
abstract.
It's sort of a classic sort of Japanese style, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've read a couple of sort of books from over there, and they refer to that as the classic style, you know, the sort of watercolor brushstroke thing. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. No, but just because I don't watch a lot of Japanese animation.
They do that with a lot of Ghibli films as well, to portray like dream sequences and other stuff as well.
Right.
It's weird.
And I mean, I've never watched any of the Studio Ghibli stuff. I want to watch more of it. I really want to. I've just never got around to it. So I don't really have a lot of comparisons to make, but I love how it changed for that bit. There was just, of course, when Bane comes in near the end, he's a sumo wrestler. Of course he is.
I forgot about that. I watched it as well.
Long story short, when they get time zapped into Japan, and Batman's there.
For no reason.
And then, yeah, and he gets attacked by these samurai, ninja, warrior type things. And he asks them who they're working for. They're all wearing Joker masks. Why is he? How does Batman not get that? How does he not know? And so I've got here as well, like, Joker's spoken dialogue is better than what's in the subtitles, but I hated the voice of Joker. I didn't like, and I hated his characterizations. He's bouncing around all the time. He's doing backflips and handstands.
I thought he sounded like British Bill from the British Bill and Ted. Why haven't you taken the Batman? Why haven't you taken the song Back to the Past? Batman.
Yes. But again, the two that I love Joker, I love Harley Quinn. I hated them both in this.
Yeah.
And I hated Harley Quinn's voice. And the actress who did the American actress who did the voice for this is Tara Strong, I think her name is. If you look her up on IMDb, she's been in everything you've seen. Like, she's a really respected like voice actor. Does lots of stuff. Where did you get the Batmobile from?
Catwoman made it, did she not?
Yeah, but then all the technology, where did they get all the technology from?
They'd all been zapped at different points. So some of them had been there longer than others. I think Joker was the first one to turn up, if I'm remembering the story. Yeah. I'm using air quotes for story correctly.
But it's just like all the technology they had, and it become like, I don't know if you'll be able to see this. Where have I got it? I've got it written somewhere. I think I might have.
Well, you're finding it. I'll just mention that when they get the Batmobile, and he's like, "Yay, I've got the Batmobile. That's me all sorted now." It does something that isn't really anything that the Batmobile doesn't really benefit him for, because he just drives up to the castle and then drives into the Joker's house and then talks to him. It's like, what the fuck do you need the Batmobile for that for?
So I don't know if you'll be able to see that, but Transformers.
Yeah.
Fucking Transformers in this, pretty much. Like, they've all got like robot
Megazords,
castles.
Aren't they? Like Megazords.
Yeah, it's mental. But I did actually like the fact that, because I thought like Batman Ninja would have been the Batman going to Japan becoming the ninja, yeah. But technically there is a Batman Ninja, like the legend of the Bat and all that kind of stuff. I did like that. But you noticed when they're doing like an overshot over like a bird's eye view of the little village, it's shaped like a bat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did you also notice his hair?
Yes, he's got like a bat shaped, and they're on about like nobody will recognise him or whatever. But he's got the bat
symbol shaped into his monk's head.
Mental. On that note, I'm going to jump to the end. So they go back to the future.
Why haven't you taken like a horse?
He's got a horse-drawn Batmobile. Fucking hell! But he's Bruce Wayne, so this is how Bruce Wayne's getting around. But his lanterns have all got the bat symbol on them. For fuck's sake! What did you do to me, Billy?
What was it? Like, it was bonkers. Have you?
At one point, there's an actual Batman.
Yes, a man made of bats.
The bats form a giant Batman, but he's got like, where did the yellow bit come from?
That comes after the Million Monkeys thing as well, isn't it? And little Robin's got that.
Of course, Robin's got a pet monkey.
But then I like how one of the other Robins is like, yeah, he's got a monkey and he talks to it. I know it's weird, just ignore it. It's like, that's the thing that you point out as being fucking weird in this. monstrosity of a nonsense. Like, oh yeah, he's got a weird talking monkey. That's not the odd thing. What's that basket fucking headed Robin doing over there?
Yeah, the red hood, but like the basket's like about 4 foot fucking
I know
tall.
that's a Japanese stylistic thing, but what the
I mean, I do like, obviously there's a lot of recognisable like characters.
But it is like they've just taken a different film and put a Batman skin over it, wasn't it? Like, because it could have been anything.
Oh yeah, it could have been. And I've got here, like, I've written down here under the Transformers, like, am I on LSD? Just, honestly, I don't know what I was watching. So I've got a question like, where did everybody get their machines for the castles? Then I put, never mind, God explained it.
Yep, God did.
I do like, you never see Grodd in Batman stuff that I've noticed. So I like that because I know him from the Flash TV series.
Yeah.
I like to see that in there.
Of all the weird batshit things in this, sorry, he's perfectly acceptable, isn't he?
And again, what I've got here is there's so many monkey puns. Like there is ice puns in Batman and Robin. They're all about monkey business, monkey see, monkey do. Oh,
that's why I went
Jesus.
with this one after we were talking about Batman and Robin last week. I was like, you know what? Yeah, it's going to be this one because I had two teamed up.
There is a bit I really liked.
Mm-hmm.
Batman and Joker are fighting on the top of the castle building thing.
Mm-hmm.
And there's smoke going around because there's been an explosion. There's smoke. And they're having a samurai fight. And they go towards each other in the smoke. And then you just see the sparks of the swords meeting within the smoke. You don't see them fighting. I thought that was quite a nice stylistic choice. I thought, I like that. And I liked how you were led to think that Joker's won. Mm-hmm. Batman's dead. But when you hit the deck and all the bats flew out, I was like, oh, come on, that's so ridiculous on the nose. But that was the Batman. that was the Batman.
Man-Bat. Yeah. No, yeah. Man-Bat's a different character.
Yeah. He was the Batman. Anyway, but it was just fucking nonsense.
It's fucking nonsense.
I'll be honest with you though, I had a freaking blast.
You sort of wonder, what is Batman in Japan? Like, over in Japan, do you get, if you're from Japan, or if you live in Japan, or if you're Japanese and you come up anywhere else in the world, if you're listening to this, can you tell us, like, is that Batman to you? Because it's not to us. Yeah. Like, it's not how Batman is portrayed to us in the Western world, sort of thing. Like, it just doesn't happen. So should we move on?
Yes, what tell us what you thought.
Okay, right. So I got given an audio book to listen to. Private Peaceful. Michael Morpurgo, I think it is, isn't it? Yeah, that's his name.
Yes.
So I'm going to go through, and spoilers, if you want to read this, then read it and come back, sort of thing. I'm probably going to get into some spoilers for this. As I was listening to it, I was listening to it whilst I was walking. So I thought I'd just have my phone, and I was just like, every chapter I'd make a little note. So I'll go through the chapter notes that I wrote down. So, Chapter 1, Tedious. Children don't have such insights. Chapter 2, Is This of Mice and Men, Big Joe? Also, Oranges and Lemons is telegraphing. Chapter 3, It's Lacking Dialogue. And Grandma Wolf is a stereotypical matriarch. Chapter 4, Mouse. I really wish we would catch up with the trenches. Assuming that's where he is or where we're going with this. And then I've also written down Death Miracle, whatever that means. Chapter 5, Molly got fridged, ? She didn't. Chapter 6, Molly's not dead then. Aeroplane, such a nothing anecdote. Like all of this is nothing. That's what I was getting from the audiobook. I think you're probably building the picture here. I fucking hated this audiobook. So, Chapter 7, Nick the Dog. Who gives a shit? Chapter 8, The War. Must be true because it's in a paper. Ha! So I thought that was funny that like someone says it must be true because it's in the paper. I'm like, oh, wow, we're in the opposite times now, aren't we? No one believes any news that's written down, and there are no papers. I was like, oh, that's actually quite funny. Forbidden Love. Again, I don't really give a shit. The dog didn't last long, did it? Not long enough for me to care about it. Chapter 9, Big Joe's missing. Would this benefit from being in the third person? So I was like, if we weren't just looking at it through Tomo's eyes, would I care more about these characters just now? And I'm like, not sure if I would. Chapter 10, Pregnant. I just wrote pregnant. Chapter 11, Simplicity of the War Salesman. I'd quite happily admit to cowardice in this situation. So when the old woman comes up to him and goes, "What's wrong with you? Are you a coward?" I'm like, "Fuck you." I was like, I'd be a coward. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm a coward. I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying here." And then I've also written for chapter 11, this could have been chapter 1. Like, I would have liked this if like the recruitment for war was chapter 1 and we just got straight into the meat of it.
Yeah.
Chapter 12, I started reading the book.
Nice. You got it.
So I was getting through this and I was like, I am fucking hating this. I even, something I never do, put it to 1.25 speed to try and get through it quickly. Right. As I was hating it that much, I was like, I just want to get through this, get to the end, and tell Sean that I hate it. And then I realised what I didn't like was the guy reading it.
Right.
Nothing against the guy, I just didn't enjoy his portrayal of the story. Right. And when I got into reading it, I picked up the book. I want to go back and read the rest of it to see if it's better, because this is a book to me that needs to happen in your head, or in my head. You know, it was being read to me, and I didn't enjoy that. I think it's written in the first person, so I think you kind of need to experience it in the first person. I found when I actually started reading it, I was way more emotionally invested. I was involved in the relationship between Tomo and his brother Charlie. The descriptions of the trenches I thought were absolutely brilliant. You know, it kind of really does take you there.
Given where I know where this to interrupt, because I know obviously where it's going, I'm glad that you decided to end up just reading it.
Right.
Because obviously it sounds like you appreciate it more when you just started reading it.
Absolutely. And I've just written down here, I'll skip ahead a bit. I found it strangely compelling towards the end, and it did bring me to tears. Strange for a book, because books don't make me cry.
Yeah.
I'm not, like you, I'm not a quick enough reader to get things in time for it to make me cry. I'm usually realising I should be crying before I get to the bit where it's making you cry. So for this, absolutely, the ending made me cry, and it didn't really sort of trick me along the way, but it did. It's predictable, but then it subverted my expectations. So I thought it was going in a certain direction, where there would be a certain sacrifice made in a certain way, and it wasn't that. And it was sort of the celebration of cowardice that I was sort of thinking of halfway through listening to the book. You know, saying, I would be the coward. You know, even in this situation where it wasn't cowardice, it was absolute. It was, you know, heroicism. What's the word for that? Heroic. It was heroic.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. I thought it was sort of obvious that it was written for kids. So it's just like criticism. The metaphors seemed a bit laboured. You know, he sort of like says something about. I remember I saw Charlie standing up there, splayed out like he was on a cross, like Jesus. I thought about being in church, and I'm like, yeah, I fucking get what that is.
Right, yeah.
But apart from that, you know, you were through that sentence in a few seconds, so it didn't really matter to me, you know, that sort of thing. And it is really well written, and I think I didn't appreciate that listening to it. So, I'm glad you got me to re-listen to this audiobook, but I'm also glad I bought the actual book.
Yeah.
And I will, if anyone's listening to this, because I think it's worthwhile reading. For the first 5 people that message in and say they want it, I'll buy this book and send it to you, because I think it's worth reading.
Well, obviously, because I don't know if we should sort of say where it goes.
Probably not if I'm going to be offering about it.
Yeah.
All right, if you're going to listen to the book, stop listening now, and we can spoil it, can't we? There we go. Spoilers for this book.
Because I think the message in it is so important, and especially because I was kind of touching on it like last time. The author was in, I forgot the name of it, the big cemetery in France.
Is it Étape? Is it some? There are loads of them.
Yeah, there's a few. There's a one where there's a massive big wall, basically, and there's a museum somewhere, and he was in a museum, and there was a letter. And I think because there is an actual gravestone with the name Peaceful.
Yeah, that's in the book, Peaceful, actually. Yeah, Private Peaceful is where we got the name from. It was on a gravestone, and he was like, that's what needs to be my name, sort of thing. And it gives, he does give the history of the actual Private Peaceful, which isn't anything to do with his story. He just took the name. Yeah,
because basically the people who were cowardice, for want of a better phrase, they weren't. They could have had like things like, you know, PTSD and things like that.
Yeah,
we were killing our own troops, and it was just like, why? And I didn't know that was a thing. But I love just how he sets it up. because I think obviously I agree with some of the stuff you were saying with some of the earlier chapters, but I think it is you have to remember that it is aimed at younger audiences.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah. And I can totally forgive it for that. It's not when I was reading it, it didn't become an issue. It got through it faster.
But I just think because one thing I appreciate about his books is he does it quite a lot. This is a subject matter that I never knew that the British Army were killing their own troops for quote unquote cowardice.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely.
But I learned it from a children's book, and it's just sort of and I like how they made it they were getting forgotten about. Mm-hmm. And basically his mission was part of this is to get those people remembered. Mm-hmm. And I think they've started to be remembered now, because some people they've done amazing things, but then got issues because war's a horrible thing to go through. But I love how he told it through brothers as well, and it's sort of
the thing is in the trenches. I thought I might have spoke to you because I don't have a brother. I might have spoke to you. But the thing is within the trenches, you can't imagine what they were going through, and a little sort of the way they sort of grounded it for me was. I worked out in France in some of those areas for a bit. Some of the areas are still the towns are still shot down, devastated by war. They've not been built back up and things like that. Right. On the way to my local supermarket, I drove past 3 white graves filled with gravestones. Right. There are loads of places you could visit. I went to visit caves where the Allied soldiers and the Nazis and things were hidden out, overlapping. They were hiding in the same caves, and in there is carved stories, jokes. There are entire chapels carved out underground, and it's actually I'd love to take you there, Sean. I think you'd really find it really interesting. It was called Cavern du Dragon, the Dragon's Cave. Yeah. Because they said that the gunfire coming out of the cave looked like the nostrils of a dragon. Right. That's what it's called. And it's on a road called the Chemin des Dames, the Ladies' Way. You can walk through a forest, and where they found different things, they've put up boards and taken photos of things and explain what they are, written them out. So you'll be walking through the forest and there'll just be a post up there, and there's a letter written home that never got home. Right. And there's a poem that one of them wrote, or there's a little figure that someone made out of bullet casings.
What hell?
There's all this sort of thing. It's just it's really sort of affected, and they've got a black field as well of gravestones for, the enemy soldiers. Right. And for some reason, the impact of that hit me when I was out there as well. So I've kind of got a bit of pedigree in here for being sort of interested in this book, because I was when I was out there. But so I wouldn't have carried on reading this book had it not been for having to do this podcast. But I'm damn glad I did. And sorry I've been talking for so long. You want to say something, John?
No, not at all. Obviously, it's your review. But I'm just... Because I think it is, it's my favourite of what he's done. I think it's more because of the emotional sort of impact of it. Mm-hmm. And it's proper, it's a horrible... Because obviously it's fiction, but it's not, because this did happen.
Mm-hmm. It sort of ends on a sort of hopeful note, doesn't it? It's sort of it's a nice thing. However, the end says that this sort of got me as well and sort of choked me up. The next day, the regiment is marching up the road towards the Somme. It's late June. They say there's soon going to be an almighty push. We're going to be part of it. We'll push them all the way to Berlin. We've heard that before. All I know is I must survive. I have a promise to keep. The Somme fucking was a nightmare. Yeah. And I'm like, oh shit. It's that sort of history thing where you're like, oh man, you can say that, and it's sort of, if you didn't know what happens at the Somme, you'd be like, I really hope everything turns all right for Tomo. Yeah. But it probably doesn't, does it?
You kind of want to reach into it and go, no,
Tomo, run away. Yeah.
But it is true, especially because audiobooks is my way of going for books, because I'm a very slow reader, and I feel like I can take it in more. But some of them, you're right though. Some of them, it depends who's reading it to you.
It was when I wrote that note for myself. Would this help if it was third person? And I was like, no. Would this help if I was reading it in first person and not having it relayed to me by someone else? That's where it is. That's the problem.
I was just going to quickly mention about in the film, it's George Mackay plays Tomo, and it's Jack O'Connell who plays Charlie. So I think the casting for those two, obviously, it worked. It's brilliant casting for that, and it's
Cool. So what are we doing next week then, Sean? Another book?
No. But again, I know this is something that you're not interested in.
Again, I said I like this part of the show, though, because I wouldn't have read that book.
So this is just, all you need to do is watch something on Netflix.
You too.
So this thing, I might try and build this up for you. So this thing, it came out in 1999. So technically,
boo,
it's a bit
old and black and white. Boo.
So technically it's a bit out of date. It's a documentary, but on Rotten Tomatoes, it's got an 82% rating and an 83% audience rating. So it's quite well received. The director was nominated for Best Direction of a Documentary at the Directors Guild Awards. I want to really drag this out for you because I don't really. So as a director, he's directed this and other few documentaries. He directed a film in 2005, The Ringer, starring Johnny Knoxville.
I've got that on DVD.
Yeah. He, as a writer, he wrote The Honeymooners, which I don't think I've watched, The Nutty Professor 1 and 2, Boomerang, also starring Eddie Murphy, Coming to America and Coming to America, he wrote them as well. And Police Academy 2, 3, 4 and 5.
Oh, probably the best ones.
Yeah, so it's Barry W. Blousney, his name is. And basically, what I want you to watch is called Beyond the Mat.
Okay.
Like I said, it's from 1999. It's a little outdated. My notes have flown away from me. But the important thing is that a lot of the risks it talks about and a lot of the issues are still prevalent today. It was filmed over 3 years. And it talks to you about stars of the time. It goes from little independent shows in gym halls and bars and to big WWF shows backstage. It touches on stars from the past who are near retirement, stars who have retired, people who are getting into the business. And the reason for me, because I'm a wrestling fan, and I know people are like, "Oh, wrestling, it's fake." It's the worst word to describe wrestling. In this documentary goes into it. It's scripted, it's predetermined, it's a performance, but it's not fake. It's when you're getting punched, you're getting punched.
Yeah.
Yes, they're not full force punches, but you're getting hit. So it's a good look into the industry, especially for non-fans, because it's a well-made documentary. It won a lot of awards. It was very well received. It was well received by critics, well received by wrestling fans. Not well received by the wrestlers themselves, though. So, and because you're a non-fan, I would just like to know your thoughts on it.
Okay.
Because for me as a wrestling fan, I can be very biased watching this. And I watched it for the first time about a month ago. I'd heard about it, but I've never watched it. So I saw it on Netflix. I'm like, I want Billy to watch that, so I'm going to watch it, and I'm going to do it for a tip.
You have, I've been surprised it's taken 4 episodes to get to this, because in the practice episodes that we did before we actually started doing this podcast, I was expecting some wrestling stuff to come up in your tips in the first couple of episodes, so I'm surprised it's taken this long. But I didn't like Darren Aronofsky's The Wrestler, which I know you did like, didn't you?
Yeah.
But I did like the Stephen Merchant film that he did about wrestling, so hopefully it's more like that, maybe. I don't know what to hope for, really.
It's funny you mentioned The Wrestler, because I wasn't actually going to say this, but now that you've said it, I might as well. Have you heard of the wrestler Jake the Snake Roberts?
Yeah.
So they touch on him in this, and you'll see the parallels between Darren Aronofsky's The Wrestler and Jake the Snake in this.
So they touch on Jake Snake.
Well, when they were filming this, Jake the Snake was in a very bad place in his life. He's managed to turn his life around, and he's back in the wrestling business now. He's what they call a manager. He basically walks to the ring with another wrestler and does all the talking for the wrestler.
Right.
But when Darren Aronofsky saw this, it inspired what became The Wrestler. So it's sort of you'll see a lot of parallels between Jake the Snake's story in this and The Wrestler. So yeah, I just, as you're a non-wrestling fan, I'd love to know what you would think about this, and just a bit of an insight to business that I know you're not a fan of. So it'd be cool to know what you think about it.
So that's what this section is devised for, is to try out new things. So yeah. Again, I've never been disappointed in anything yet. Everything's been either fun or interesting or, useful or whatever. So, yeah, that's cool. Grand. Right then. So, what I've got for you as well as a Netflix recommendation. The reason why I'm recommending this to you is that this crushed me as much as WandaVision did. So, I thought, well, tie it into WandaVision. And I don't really want to say too much about it going in. I just want to tell you what the film is. And I don't think... I went in knowing nothing about it other than it's been well received. Basically, I didn't watch any reviews, listen to anything about it. I just thought it was beautiful. It's a nice slow burn. Really sort of weird, quirky and off the wall sort of thing. It took me a while to figure out what was going on, but maybe that's just me. So, directed by Shannon Murphy. Tell me if you've seen it as well, by the way. Starring Eliza Scanlon as the main character and Ben Mendelsohn.
Oh, yeah.
And it was Ben Mendelsohn's performance that just absolutely did me in.
I love him.
Yeah, he's really good. And I didn't realise it was him until the credits rolled. Like, he hasn't changed his face or anything like that, but it's like we said with Gary Oldman, he's created a character, built it. Baby Teeth.
Nope, never even heard of it.
Never even heard of it? Oh, well then, over to you then, Sean, because I recommend you watch that, and I recommend all the listeners watch that.
Baby Teeth. What?
You may have to stick with it though.
Right.
I recommended it to my mum the other week, and she said she would have switched it off after about 20 minutes if I hadn't recommended it to her.
Right.
So she wouldn't have stuck with it had I not recommended it to her. I was like, well, maybe that's something then. Maybe it needs to be involved in this type of situation where I recommend it to you and you've got to watch it for next week's podcast, otherwise you might not get through it. And I think if you don't, you'll miss out, because my mum said, my mum's loved it in the end, and we talked about it for a bit. So,
well, I've added it to my list, so it's there. But yeah,
you know, you've got things in your Netflix list that you're gonna get to, but you really need to be in the right frame to get to it.
I've got stuff in there that's been on there for years.
Yeah, aye.
Well, I had a couple of Netflix.
There we go. We're both watching a nice, easy little film. Netflix. That'll save a bit of time, won't it?
That'll be a bit easier than reading a book.
But just so you know, listeners, as well.
Yes.
We've had a conversation this week, and because Sean gave me an audiobook, I've got a book that I want to recommend to Sean. But this one's 15 hours. He's agreed to it, but it might be over a couple of weeks.
Yes.
So I've said I might do it as a tip at some point, but he's never going to know when it's coming.
So one day I'm going to be lulled into a false sense of security.
Yeah.
And then it's just going to be BAM! There you go, 15 hours.
It's just going to come out of the darkness like an angry Leighton. Tell you a secret. I'm really interested to see what you think, though, because I think you will enjoy it and get a lot out of it. So,
right, brilliant.
Is that the show?
That is us.
All righty then. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. We have been Whitty Entertainment of Feature Films and Light Entertainment Podcast, or Waffle for short. If you want to get in contact, then please do, because we love hearing from you and seeing what you think. It's w.a.f.f.l.e.podd@gmail.com if you want to email us. On Facebook, you can find us at Whitty Analysis of Feature Films and Light Entertainment. On Twitter, it's Waffle Podcast 1, and we're on YouTube now as well, which is Waffle Podcast. You'll find all this linked below, as well as timestamps, so you can jump around and avoid spoilers, but there's no point in telling you that at the end of the podcast, is there? So thanks very much for listening. We hope to see you in the next one. And as we always say on this podcast, cuckoo Kachu got screwed. Goodbye. Bleep.